Prepare yourself.
Oh, this is the Ninja Troll Digicast.
Hello again and welcome to the Cathedral of Wisdom for the Ninja Troll Digicast. My name is Tim Dixon. Joining me, as always, is the only man who graduated from Granny Goodness's School of Evil with straight A's. Professor Pixel, Mike Worth.
All right, so I love the nickname that Chuck Charles gave me. Maybe I'm feeling like I want to outgrow it. And
Should we say Dr. Pixel?
No, I'm not really a doctor.
Well, that's true.
I play one on TV, but I don't know if that counts.
I didn't go to evil medical school for 8 years for nothing.
So maybe I'll just be Mike Worth, unless you want to be Timmy Mojo D again.
You could do that. I could live with that.
All right, Timmy Mojo D. All right.
All right. Coming up this week, we've got a lot of great stuff. We're going to give you part 3 of our showcase on Jack Kirby,
Sweet.
the King, Jack Kirby. This will be covering the New Gods up to the end of his career. So, and actually, it was actually more, way more than just the New Gods in the last part of his life.
Oh, cool.
I was expecting that to be like the main part, but there was a lot of stuff.
So huge.
Yeah, he worked really, up until he passed away.
Wow.
So, yeah. But with that, we've also got, wrapping in with that, our Exploring the Multiverse segment is Crisis on New Genesis.
Yes.
So this will be tying in Kirby's fourth world that he created for DC Comics into the larger DC universe. So we're really starting to get everything pulled together, and it feels like, and I may be adding something into it that's not really there, but it feels like as we're getting closer to, we know we're getting closer to the Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Yep.
It seems like maybe they were building towards that.
It could be.
Because they started pulling in all these outside universes and wrapping them all into one.
Right.
So maybe they knew 5 years out that they were going to be doing this, so they
Super crossover.
Yeah, so they started building to it. So, but like I said, I may be giving them a super benefit of the doubt. So
A little bit, but there's some inklings of truth. I did a little research on it, so.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Awesome. See, that's what we call.
I did my homework.
That's what we call a setup. See, I gave you the ball and you knocked it out of the park.
Alley-oop.
There you go. Also in the comic rack, we've got a reveal of one of the new characters that is coming to the all new, all different Marvel.
Sweet.
Yes, it was a big one. I was waiting to see who it was, and I was not nearly as disappointed as I thought it was going to be. So there's a tease for you. Also, we got a lot of movie and TV news, but I want to start off talking about the Kansas State Band.
Ooh.
I don't know if you read about this.
I didn't need to read. I saw.
You saw, okay. Yeah. Kansas State, the band for their halftime show.
Is this the Jayhawks?
No, actually, Kansas is the Jayhawks.
Oh,
this is
okay.
Kansas State,
Okay.
which I don't know what their mascot is.
Is it another bird? Because there was a
I don't think so.
bird image.
Yeah, but that was the Jayhawk. Now, okay. What their plan was to, in their halftime show, the band was going to make the Kansas Jayhawk mascot, and then have the Starship Enterprise attacking.
Right, in their
It sounds great.
I was
It's
stoked to see the
yeah,
headline.
it's really cool. It's really nerdy. So, however, if you don't know quite what you're looking at, it looks pretty lewd.
Wow, so visual literacy, kids, is the lesson.
Yeah, I think they would have been better off if they'd have done a top-down view of the Enterprise instead of the side view, because it did not look family fresh. It was not family friendly.
Those aren't engines.
Yeah, and they had to do an apology because the video I saw, you could hear people going,
What is that?
"What is that? What's going on?" And I don't understand why they. Okay, if they were playing Kansas then, maybe, but they were playing South Dakota, so they weren't even playing. They weren't even playing Kansas.
What's the South Dakota mascot?
It's probably like a coyote or something.
Okay.
But I don't even know why they were doing it specifically then.
There's an obsession with this now. Like there are people who like if you have that Nike running app, it like draws a map of like where you've run.
To try to
And there
draw
are people
something.
who try to make messages that are funny, but then every day it's a PP pick. I mean,
Yeah,
it's like
a little-
some person just always does it,
little
and it's
naughty
like
pictures.
right.
You're
and-
running.
Are they running and going like, all right, got to turn right on
Gotta
Main
turn
Street,
here,
you know,
so,
to
yeah.
get the tip. You know, it's
yeah,
like
yeah. Probably they are. To tell you the truth, they probably are.
oh,
So
sadness.
yeah, it's. I mean, it's one of those things. It looked good on paper.
Somebody was a genius at some point. and-
Yeah. It just didn't turn out that well. Also, a little sad news. It seems like this is like we have all the deaths in the top of the show.
yeah.
Brad Anderson, who was the creator of Marmaduke, passed away this week. He was 79, I believe.
Wow.
Um,
He's a part of that comic strip generation.
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure he was a Hall of Famer as well.
Oh, Eisner.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah, so sad news to hear there. But good news last week, great news. It was Force Friday.
Yes.
They released all the merch, and we talked about it was either last week or the week before. We talked about how
Yeah, how much are they?
the merchandise is
Right.
expected to cross 5 billion with a B.
Damn.
In the first year,
Damn.
just a year.
On toys.
Yeah, just merchandise. It's nuts. But they
Wow.
released a lot of the different things. And we'd seen videos of this, but it's now, I believe it's now available. I don't know if you can actually get it, but it's available. The BB-8 droid. You can there's an app,
the
and
ball,
you can
right?
yeah,
The roller ball.
you can control it with your phone.
No
There's
way.
an app. Yes.
Oh,
Yeah, like I said,
my
whether you
birthday's
can
November
actually
8th.
whether you can actually find one now is the
it's
question. I'm sure they're
impossible.
gone.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And the one that I thought was really cool was a Millennium Falcon drone.
yeah, I saw it with the fans.
It's a quadcopter just with a Millennium Falcon around it.
That's awesome.
I want one now. Just as we say, shut up and take my money.
Yeah.
Because that was just
I
awesome.
saw somebody say like I'm so excited it's Force Friday, but I'm broke. So they got a metallic paint pen, and took an old 1979 Stormtrooper and just made it into
made it into
I forget her name now. Yeah, Brianna Tarth.
yeah,
Tarth Vader.
Darth Vader. Yeah, I can't remember her character name. It's Phasma. Is that right?
We'll get better at it as
it gets closer.
the time
yeah.
draws nigh.
Um,
I just thought that was hilarious because it's the old rigid, like super, non-articulate Star Wars figures, just shiny silver, and I was like,
Yeah.
boom, perfect.
yeah. See, I'm googling because it's.
Timmy has to
I
Google that.
have to know. I can't not know.
I hear you. It's gonna bother you.
Oh, the ads! Get out of
Love
here.
The ads. We
Gwendolyn
got?
Christie. That's her name. Her real name. And Annie Leibovitz took these pictures.
Wow, so they must be
Captain
amazing.
Phasma. See, I was right.
Captain Phasma.
Captain Phasma, which counts.
That sounds like Captain Obvious, or
Yeah, it sounds kind of
Yeah.
silly, but hey, who am I to judge?
But some of these toys look super cool.
Yeah.
I mean, forget it. Lego's gonna kill with that stuff. I mean, just the Star Wars toys alone. I mean, I saw like the 20-inch Stormtroopers. I mean, all the new ships. I mean, everything is just, oh man.
Yeah, the
they're-
new. I don't know if they're still technically classified as X-wings, but they're darker
Yeah.
and they look really cool. And the new TIE fighters
Oh,
look just evil, and I know they're supposed to, so that's a good thing. But yeah, they just look really, really evil.
they're just really thoughtful. I mean, they've
cool.
always been thoughtful with that stuff. So it's
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's nice to get back. I mean, I know the point of the prequels was to have everything was cleaner because it was before the downfall of the Empire, or the Republic, and everything.
Right.
I think that's kind of the aesthetic of the prequels. Kind of rubbed some people the wrong way because it just didn't look the same. This looks like the original. Everything's dirty. Everything's kind of broken down.
Even
And-
more so.
Yeah, exactly. So, and that's we've talked about this before. Is at the end of Return of the Jedi, okay, the Emperor's dead, Darth Vader's dead, but that's not just going to be the end of it. They're not just going to go, all right,
No.
cool, we're going to go. The Empire's just going to go away. You guys can
No,
do
you
what
got
you
all
want.
the moths, right? I mean, the entire military structure is still in place.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Thrawn might be out there, right? Grand Admiral.
I don't know if
Thrawn,
they're going to use that at all. I'm trying to kind of stay away from stuff because
Timothy Zahn.
I don't really want to know. I want to go
And be like,
and experience it. I want to be a 6-year-old kid again.
Yeah.
When the lights go down and that I want
want
to
the
feel
hairs
that.
on the neck.
Yeah, it's starting already right now. Just saying that. So, but yeah, that's my thing. I want to be able to experience it without knowing too much. I know when Han and Chewie show up, when Luke shows up, Leia shows up, it's gonna be goosebumps anyway. So I mean, but yeah, let's just transfer right out of that into our movie and TV news. We've got a lot of stuff this week. Warner Brothers is apparently, and we talked about this a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Warner Brothers is very, very high on Ben Affleck as Batman.
Yeah, they signed him for how many more? Or they want to sign him?
6, I think. I don't know if it's
6
I
pictures.
don't know if it's inked or not, but they want him for 6, and they want him to direct at least 2 or 3.
All right, so that's going to be Justice League stuff and Batman, right?
I think they're
Batmans?
they're looking for standalone Batmans. Whew. Yeah, so they're very high on him, and they're apparently pushing for more Batman in Batman versus Superman. And their reasoning is, okay, he's doing a good job, but also we've established Man of Steel
of
has
that time.
we established Superman in Man of Steel, so he's already established.
Mm-hmm.
Let's spend more time getting from what we know of Batman to this Batman, because this is different. Right. Something's happened, maybe several things have happened to make him kind of pull out of the superhero community. We obviously from the trailer, I think a Robin is going to be dead.
Yeah, because we see a costume sitting in an empty case or a case. Yeah, right.
And there's some rumors that say maybe Alfred is dead. That when we see Jeremy Irons speaking as Alfred, maybe that's a flashback.
There's probably going to be a ton of that.
Yeah, I'm sure. And I mean, when it boils down to it, his parents are still dead, so he's not a happy dude. I mean,
and somebody just cut his building in half with a laser.
Exactly, and killed
eyes.
his. Yeah, so it was another family that he couldn't protect.
Yeah.
So he's had start with his parents, then Robin, then these people that he couldn't protect, and that's his biggest thing is he wants to protect everyone,
right,
and make sure nothing like that happens to anybody else. So that's gonna. I mean, it's just one more straw on the camel's back.
Right.
So, but yeah, they're apparently pushing for a lot more Batman in Batman versus Superman. So,
that's cool.
I have no problem with.
No, it's
obviously.
I think we're really warming up to Ben Affleck. I think mostly everybody is. I haven't heard really any more criticism.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Once the trailer came out, everybody shut up.
Yeah, they're like,
because he looks pretty awesome.
Yeah,
I mean, it looks really good. So, but he can. I mean, I never was concerned because I'm a fan of his acting anyway. And so I wasn't that worried, and I don't blame him for Daredevil. Daredevil wasn't great.
Right.
Not even by any stretch of the imagination. But the problems with it weren't exclusively him. There was a lot of other issues in that movie.
I think he wanted to do it so bad. It's clear.
He was very excited about doing that. So he wanted to do it well. It's not like he just went and phoned it in and stunk up the joint.
Right.
It just had a lot of different issues that didn't. And to be fair, the director's cut that they released was better than what was released in the theater.
But you got it.
You still got issues.
You got to buy the disc and want to see it after all the bad press about it, and be like, "Hey, this was actually underneath all that. It was a great movie."
Yeah.
Have there been any other actors who have been a cross pollinator? Maybe Ryan Reynolds going from DC to Marvel.
Ryan Reynolds has played Green Lantern and Deadpool. Brandon Routh has played Superman and now the Atom.
Yes.
Chris Evans has played Human Torch and in Captain America.
Okay. Well, I mean, crossing between the universes. It's only Ryan Reynolds and Ben Affleck so far.
Yeah.
So we'll see in the future if there's going to be any other cross pollinators who.
Going from one superhero universe to the other. Yeah, that would be the only one. Yeah. I hadn't thought about that, but yeah.
And it seems like it's only been the ones who have had crappy movies.
Yeah, they just tapped out and left.
All right.
And I think that was part of the issue with they're being so high on Ben Affleck is he's turned in a lot of really good movies for them recently.
Oh yeah.
Argo.
Yeah.
was
Gone Girl.
Gone Girl.
Oh.
Both huge hits for him.
Yeah.
For them, sorry, specifically.
Both
So
Academy.
they made a
Yes.
they made a lot of money off him recently. So
Yeah.
hey, let's ride that horse.
Right.
So
This ain't no paychecks.
yeah. So Doctor Who will be returning with Magician's Apprentice. That's the name of the premiere on September 19th. That will be premiering.
Oh wow. What
and
day is that?
That's a Saturday. That's
Oh,
actually
wow.
2 Saturdays from now.
So we'll have Doctor Who on Saturday.
Yes.
So we'll have to set like a
It'll be
Ninja
on-
Troll weekly television schedule.
Yeah.
It sounds like.
It'll be it's on BBC One and BBC America
Cool.
for us across the pond,
Yes.
as you would say. Oh. Yeah, I never have watched Doctor Who, but I'm tempted to just set it to record. I don't know if I'll ever have time to watch it, but I'll set it to record and see. 'Cause at the beginning of the season, the Doctor is missing,
Ah.
and so like for lack of a better term, the girl Friday that's always there.
Yeah.
She's kind of left without
Any instructions?
any help,
Ah.
and apparently something's threatening the Earth. So
Nice.
where's the Doctor? We need him.
Where is
So,
the Doctor? Well, we may have to bring in the lovely Laura,
Yeah.
Dragon Mama, to give us some Doctor Who. That's her
Yeah,
jam.
'cause she loves Doctor Who. Yeah,
Absolutely.
So, but that's coming on September 19th, which will be the same day as the CatsyCon. We'll be in Morganton that day
Nice.
for CatsyCon. So if you're coming by there, stop by and check us out there. DC All Access just released a Legends of Tomorrow video that revealed a couple things to us. Specifically, Firestorm will be in it
Ah.
because that was the question. Is like the actor who plays Martin Stein is cast, but
Robbie Amell is
Robbie
not.
Amell is not.
He's in another show.
He's going to be on X-Files.
X-Files.
But you can see Firestorm in some of the video that they released, and they talk to the actor that plays Martin Stein,
Yeah.
and he says that question will be answered in the Flash premiere.
Oh.
So he's saying it may be, and that's what everybody's thinking. There's been other people in the Matrix with him,
Right.
so it's not always Ronnie Raymond.
Yeah, there was a young African American
Jason
guy, right?
Rush,
Yeah, right.
who has been introduced in the show on the Flash.
Well,
So that most probably it'll be somebody else in there in the Matrix with him.
so this is cool. This sort of makes sense a little bit because I wonder, how does Caitlin Snow become Killer Frost? Like, how does she get so dark and evil?
Yeah, that's
So
a
maybe
good
something
question.
happens to Ronnie. You
Yeah.
know?
That's a good question. Maybe that is what happens, and somehow because Jason in the show, Jason Rush was working on the Firestorm program with the professor.
Ah.
So
This was
maybe
originally a
there's part of
military
him.
project, right? Was
Yes,
it Argus
I
or
think
was it that
I think
general?
it was General Eiling
Yeah.
because he was the one looking for him
Right.
when the bomb went off, when they exploded outside town.
Yeah.
They were already on the lookout. So, and they knew what it was as soon as it happened.
Yeah.
So,
Clean up.
yeah, clean up aisle 3. But yeah, the guy who plays Professor Science said that will be revealed in the season premiere of The Flash.
Cool.
Hawk Girl is reincarnated and has memories.
Oh, so it's
from
different
past life.
than her comic circumstance where she doesn't have memories.
Well, I think maybe shadowy memories, and she's not quite sure.
Okay.
But that's usually the thing is like she doesn't have full knowledge. He has. When Hawkman
Connor.
is reincarnated, he has full knowledge of his past lives, where she doesn't. So she's probably got shadowy memories here and there, like a deja vu triggers something, and
She
doesn't.
got
And
tattoos.
and
She's like,
she-
oh, I put a bomb in a building or
I
something.
got some ink at 5 years old. But yeah, she has these powers, so she's able to. In the interview with the I forget her, it's Sierra something who's playing
Hawker.
a Hawk Girl. She talks about she's got these powers, so obviously she's able to tap into her powers, but she doesn't know where they came from and what's going on basically.
Cool.
So then
So they're not touching the Thanagarian stuff. It seems
I don't
more
think so.
just
No,
the
it's gonna be the
mystic
reincarnated,
god
yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
yeah, and Sarah may be just a little more than a little crazy. It's from what they're saying. I mean, she's been dead for a long time.
But then
So when
we
she
saw
goes to the
her,
Lazarus pit,
yeah, we saw her jump up in the
and
Lazarus pit.
I mean, the longer you're dead, the more it can affect you, and that's why, she's not going to be. She doesn't have any. To her, she doesn't have any real connection to her past life, so she may be completely different.
Wow.
So
Will she even be canary?
She's white canary is what they call her.
White canary.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
But yeah, she's
Laurel is black canary.
is
now.
black canary. Yeah. So yeah, they've addressed the fact that when you go into the Lazarus pit, it changes you. Thea came out
as Red
a
Arrow.
little
or
she
going
came
to
out
be.
a little nuts. I mean, she came out and attacked somebody. I don't remember who it was. Maybe Ollie. Like straight out of the pit, just jumped right on him.
Damn.
And she had only been dead for a little bit, and it affects you when you go through that. It drives you a little crazy.
He was mostly dead.
He was mostly
He was
dead,
partly
yes.
dead.
Yeah.
But if you're very dead, then nothing happens. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that's gonna when you're really dead, it's gonna affect you a lot more than just mostly dead.
That's interesting. So the trailer didn't quite break the internet, right? The Flash,
that's it. They
Arrow
had
trailer.
said the Arrow trailer was gonna break the internet, and it was decent.
Yeah, it was good.
But if you hadn't have said something like that, it would have been much better.
Yeah, we would have had.
We wouldn't have been
Our
expecting
expectations would have went up.
I was
Yeah.
there on Stephen Amell's page, 6 p.m. when he uploaded it.
Bam.
I jumped right on it, and I was like, "Is there another one?" I mean, it was.
Wait, did they mean that it was broken in two pieces on the internet?
Yeah. So yeah, the trailer you get to see Diggle in his outfit, or as I am going to call him, Magna Diggle.
I was going to say Dignito.
Big Nito, that's a good one too. Yeah, we'll have to decide on that one, whether it's Magna Diggle or Dignito.
Diggle Nito.
Because he has the helmet looks pretty much just like
That's it.
a Magneto helmet.
But you said he was going to be what, a Sentinel or Sentry?
I am not sure now which it is. It's
Okay.
I think
that'll be his persona, or he's going to sort of assume.
Yeah, that's been kind of there's always been speculation on what character he'll be playing.
Okay.
Sentry is, let's see if this was, I don't think this is, maybe it was Sentinel. No, it's not Sentry. So let's try.
Sentry's a Image character, right? With the big S?
Yeah, maybe. Sentinel, that's Green Lantern. Why are you showing me Green Lantern?
Sentinel is what he turns. No, Parallax is what he turns into.
Parallax is what he turned into. But yeah, it's or maybe I'm thinking Guardian. I've completely lost it now. I don't know.
All right, so
but it ain't
security
Magneto.
guard.
I know that. Yeah, that's it. That's it was Guardian.
Guardian, yeah, with that funky shield.
And I think that's what they were going for with that helmet, but they kind of reversed it to where he's got more of a cowl and then an open mouth area. They reversed it, and where the eyes are and the mouth area are open on Diggle's costume.
He looks like Judge Dredd.
He does very
he's
much
got
so
that-
without the visor.
Yeah,
He
right.
does. So, but also we got in the Arrow trailer, we got the return of Cord Industries.
Oh,
Because
so maybe
they-
some Blue Beetle.
Oh man, I hope I would
that'd
just
be
I would
great.
just be a 6-year-old kid
Just think
again.
the CG on that, how great that would be.
Yeah. And he had, like, the Cord Industries stuff had kind of disappeared because Ray Palmer and Palmer Industries came to town. So that was more of where they were going with that. And they were,
Right.
I think they were specifically told they have other plans for Blue Beetle, so knock it off. But now it's coming back. You get to see Cord Industries again, or it was Cord Omniversal or something
was
like
it?
that. It was like a
I
different.
remember some of the signs around, like
yeah,
where
it was
some
it was a
criminals
different
broke in and
in
stuff.
the trailer. It was a different name.
Okay.
So maybe that's a little change in the name there. We also got to see Constantine for
Nice.
blink and you miss it, but there he was.
And is it the same actor, right,
Yep.
from the TV show?
Yep.
Oh, good. So, then
So and that may be addressing or helping Sarah, because if
That's what he
anybody
does,
can,
right?
yeah,
He's sort of
exactly.
that demonic,
if anybody can help somebody coming back from the dead, it's going to be Constantine. So that may be where he comes in there.
That's cool.
We also got to see Curtis Holt, who will most probably be Mr. Terrific. He's very far away from that character now because he's kind of the bumbling nerd.
Yeah.
As somebody put it on the internet, it's Felicity's gay best friend.
Oh.
So he's going to have to make some transitions before he gets to that point. But he's obviously a genius.
Yeah.
He's working with her at Palmer Industries.
Right.
So he may make moves towards being Mr. Terrific. So
Cool.
and
is he super or is he like tech super?
he's tech super.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah, he's genius level intellect, and he just has crazy tech that's
Nice.
just
So like Cisco will be eventually Vibe. So
yes.
they'll have that tech super.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. We also got a good look at Damien Dark, who is the big bad for this next season.
Nice.
And we saw Anarchy, both with Damien Dark and Jessica Danford, who has been played by Jerry Ryan.
Ah.
So
wow.
it's possible that he is a connection between the two of them. It's possible that that's her son.
Ah.
That would be cool.
Wow.
Because he's his name's Lonnie March, I think.
Okay.
In Batman. He's very young. He's 16 years old. So he was actually introduced as a Robin villain. Or no, I think he was introduced as a Batman villain, but became mostly a Robin
Nemesis.
villain. Yeah.
Interesting.
But you saw him in two different scenes, one with Damien Dark and one like when Damien was talking to the person like real up close with them.
Yeah.
That was the guy playing Anarchy.
Oh.
But
This is some new stuff for me. I'm
yeah.
interested.
And then the Jessica Danford stuff, you see he's standing behind.
So they're
that
together.
Would like be like
some
a family.
sort of relationship.
Yeah, exactly. You saw Amanda Waller again in the flashback, so she's going to come back to the flashback storyline.
Cool.
Which, like we talked about a couple
running
weeks ago.
out of flashback time.
Yeah, at some point it's going to have to merge into like season 1.
Yeah, like
so,
Chris was saying. Yeah.
Yeah. But we saw Sarah and her resurrection as well.
Yep.
And a villain called Double Down. That's the one that got kicked in the chest by Felicity.
I was like, yeah, and then
she was all badass.
I guess the Curtis
Holt.
Holt,
Yeah.
Right, was like, I didn't know you could do that. Right.
Since when have you been able to do that?
Yeah.
Since always.
Yeah.
So yeah, and the high heels even.
I know.
I mean, so
right. Yeah, she's always well dressed,
and they're saying Stephen Amell was saying that the first episode this year they're going to do something they've never done before. No, didn't expound on that, but that they'll do something they've never done before.
And it's called Green Arrow.
The episode is called Green Arrow.
It's called Green Arrow. Yeah.
Yes.
And the Arrow's dead, right? Because like technically, Roy took the fall.
Yeah.
Died in prison, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Right. I saw that. Thank you for not spoiling that.
Yeah.
The Thea thing wasn't so bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was,
well, you knew she was coming back. Come on.
Right. But then, so then basically Oliver's free and clear, right?
Yeah.
As much as, right, it says Detective Lance or Captain Lance won't, pursue him anymore.
Yeah. But
so
in some of the stuff they've shown for next season, you see him, Lance talking to him. So he knows he's back. He knows, and I think he said, what you're doing is hurting the city or something like that. So he's going to know of course, that stuff in a trailer goes so fast, and you can't necessarily. Maybe he's talking to Dinah, Laurel.
Yeah, to Laurel, right? Saying, you're.
Yeah,
your
because he's not real happy about her being Canary.
Because she's not really well trained. Yeah,
No.
It's like she gets beat up a lot.
Well, yeah, that happens.
All exciting though. I mean, it's
like I said,
cool
it was very cool stuff, and it was very exciting. If you just hadn't have made the comment that it was going to break the internet, I think it would have been a whole lot better.
They'll learn. They're just excited, They'll learn.
Yeah.
What about the Flash promo?
Yeah, the Flash promo actually just came up last night.
Yeah. I caught it earlier. So
yeah, it was really, really good. You get the first good look at Jay Garrick, and I downloaded this one and did it, took it in my
Yeah, you
editing
did.
program, did it frame by frame, because it comes so fast. No pun intended.
Right.
But you get the first good look at Jay Garrick, and he's a young man.
Yeah.
But he tells them that by stopping the singularity, you opened up a gateway to other worlds.
Whoa.
Worlds, plural.
Multiple Earths.
Yeah, maybe a multiverse, if you will.
Oh my God. Awesome.
So
you're dealing with it.
yeah, and so we got a better look at Atom Smasher, Edge playing the Atom Smasher.
Yeah. He looked good.
He looks really good. Yeah, and
he's huge.
oh yeah,
So
and that's the thing.
Sticking to it.
As a wrestler, and when he was a current wrestler, he was by no means one of the bigger guys. He was tall, but he wasn't really
The Edge.
built.
No.
But around normal people, he's massive.
He is massive. Yeah, right.
So yeah, and he's got an intense look. Like when the last scene where you see the flash signal, when that come in.
I saw that. Yeah. I was
Yeah,
just like,
and
okay.
the camera swings around and you see his face and he says it's showtime or something like that.
Yeah.
He's got a really good brooding look, which again, okay, Atom Smasher is a good guy
Yeah.
in the comics.
But he's a villain here.
He's a villain here, so it may be a situation where he comes over and because he was part of the JSA,
Yeah.
so maybe Jay's the one saying, okay. I don't know. We'll see when. I mean, that's all the premiere. He's going to be in the premiere.
That's great.
So
We'll find
they're
out.
from what they're saying, all these questions are hitting real quick.
This is October 6th.
Yes,
This comes out.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
and Harrison Wells will be from one of those other worlds.
Wow.
So and that's somebody. I think it was the executive producer they were asking, and he said, we've now introduced all this. We've got other worlds, other timelines. He'll be from one of those, which is kind of easy to see because they found his body. They actually excavated his body. So
on the current Earth.
Yes.
Yeah, which we assume is Earth 1, right? Because Barry Allen lives on it.
Yeah. So it would kind of have to be, which will be interesting how they deal with him coming along. It'd be nice to still have him on the show.
Yeah, he's an awesome character.
Yeah, he's a great character, and when he's now not burdened by it just being a disguise for Eobard Thawne,
Yeah.
that would be
He'll be helpful.
interesting. Yeah, it'd be interesting how they do this stuff.
Because they said Barry's going to have a new mentor, right, in this
Yeah.
season. So perhaps.
and it may be Jay Garrick, it may be the real Harrison Wells.
Could be, yeah.
We don't know.
It won't be Stein, right? We assume
Yeah,
maybe
he's going
it
to
was
be on
gonna
Legends of
Stein.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
since he'll move, then yeah.
Yeah. So, but we also they released a new clip from The Martian, which is the
Matt
movie that
Damon.
I'm so excited about.
Yeah.
It's going to be released October 2nd, and they
Cool.
released a clip of when the accident happens where he gets knocked out and stuck on Mars. Because
cool.
basically they're at Mars, they're on Mars, and there's a storm coming, and there's a certain level of newtons that the force that the storm has that the module can withstand without tipping over. So they have to okay, we can take 7,500 newtons. This one's 8,600. So we need to get ready to go. So they had to go and start getting their stuff. And as they go out to get their stuff, he gets struck by a piece of flying equipment. They think, and that's the thing. They think he's dead, and he can't. He's knocked out, so he can't respond. So they think he's dead. So they wait as long as they can, and then they have to take off.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
So you get to see that scene, and
he gets stuck. So these are the people trying to go back to Earth from
that's his mission. Yeah.
Mars. Okay.
Yeah.
And he remains because it didn't work out.
Yeah. Well, he remains because they thought he was dead.
They thought he was dead.
So
I just saw Interstellar, and he's in that.
I haven't seen that.
And he plays a dude marooned on another
Yeah,
Earth.
somebody had said something about that.
And it's and I was like, isn't he about to play that role?
Yeah, he keeps getting stuck on planets.
Yeah, right. And he wakes up and he's so shocked to see people because he thought, oh, well, I'm done.
Oh yeah.
And he weeps, and I'm like, oh,
because
wow.
he actually saw people.
I feel like I'm seeing The Martian, like the beginning of it.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I'm really excited about this movie. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah,
And
it's been on your radar for a while.
Yeah. As soon as I found out that they were actually making it, because it's one of the best books I've read in years.
Nice.
So when I found out they were making it, and especially with Matt Damon also, who I'm a fan
Huge.
of. So,
yeah, he's in that Affleck. They were that duo.
Exactly, yeah.
Forever.
Yeah. So I'm really excited about that. It's October 2nd, I believe, is when that's coming out.
Is when that trailer comes out?
No, the movie comes out.
Oh, the movie. Oh,
Yeah.
right on. Okay, sorry. I thought you said the trailer, but they have a...
No, they released a couple trailers. This was just one. It was actually a clip. It wasn't a trailer. It was a clip from the movie.
This might be the fall of Take My Money, not next
Yeah,
year, right?
basically,
We're saying
it's
we're gonna be
starting
broke.
now and going through. Well, yeah, because if you consider Star Wars is December, so you just start in October and just take my money completely. So
That's right. We'll get a loan.
yeah, Norman Reedus and Chandler Riggs have described at DragonCon their
Just this
panel at
past weekend.
DragonCon. They described season 6 of The Walking Dead as season 1 on Viagra.
Wow.
So
So old, angry, and
yes,
yeah, and busy for the next 4 hours.
yeah. You may have to go to the doctor.
Or in a bathtub.
But yeah, they were specifically asked what their favorite scenes were, and what their favorite line was.
Ever or
Ever.
in this season?
And
Oh,
they kind of all said that it would coming up.
Oh.
So it's stuff in season 6. And actually, Norman Reedus asked about his favorite line. He said Chandler gets to say it in this season. So he's apparently got a badass line
Wow.
coming in season 6.
But who does Chandler play on the show?
Carl.
Carl. Okay.
Carl.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah, so he's really starting to come into his own as a character.
Nice.
He's
So old enough now, certainly.
Exactly. Yeah, it's old enough now, and that's what happens. There's a progression in the comics. So where like right now he has left to go help somebody. Like I don't know if you've heard of the Whisperers from the comics.
Mm-mm.
It's a creepy group.
Okay.
They wear walker skins.
Oh.
And they act like walkers, and it helps them to not
Oh.
be a target.
We've seen that a couple times. Like Carol did that once.
Yeah,
she
just
smeared her stuff.
She just smeared her stuff. But they
Yeah.
make suits. They like
Wow.
Buffalo Billet, like Silence of the
Wow.
Lambs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's really creepy. And they have kind of it's a weird group dynamic. They call the leader Alpha.
Alpha.
Yeah, she
Ugh.
doesn't have a name. It's just Alpha.
Are these the same people who are carving W's into the?
No, those are the wolves.
The
Those
wolves.
that's in the show. That's something specifically. The wolves' name is specifically from the show, but the Negan's group is called.
Wolf Pack or something?
No, I've forgotten. It's something like Reavers or no, it's not Reavers. It's there's two groups in the comic in the Washington area, in the Alexandria area, where they are now.
Okay.
That it could be. So that's why everybody's speculating exactly.
Is it going to be Negan or will it be
Exactly.
this Whisperers group
Yeah.
or something?
Yeah.
Well, it's going to be something. I
Yeah.
mean, they set it up pretty good.
Yeah.
I gotta say though, I love Walking Dead. I'm excited about Fear of the Walking Dead and all that stuff. I'd like that sort of reconnection, but I don't know. I'm starting to say like, all right, well, where are we going?
Yeah.
I'm waiting for something to kind of,
Yeah.
and it just seems like things are just falling apart, like with every step.
Oh,
I mean,
on The Walking Dead specifically? Or?
yeah. Like when they outed Mullet Man. I forget his name now. Eugene, right?
Yeah.
Like that. I was like, man, that was the only hope in the show. And then now we have. This,
yeah, see, that's the thing. Yeah, he never was.
Nah, he
Yeah.
just was protecting himself,
Yep.
right? And then they get to Alexandria, and it seems awesome, but then like it got foul.
Oh yeah, well that happens. I mean, that's like an ongoing thing. It's like just when you think things are going good,
Yeah, then
they come apart. Yeah, and Eugene comes back to redeem himself at least in the comics.
Oh, nice.
He becomes a
He learns to kill.
no. He learns to make ammunition.
Oh,
He can do that,
wow.
and so he basically makes a factory and they start cranking out ammunition.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, so he redeems himself and becomes a contributing member of the society.
He don't need to follow like specifications. He can make it out of a soda can, right? Or
Yeah, and
any kind of metal.
that's the thing. He knows enough. He is in his own words, I am a very smart man.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's he becomes a contributing member of the society eventually. So,
Cool.
On Gotham, they released a trailer. I haven't actually watched the trailer, but I saw a still from it. It looks like they may be introducing the Court of Owls, which actually we had this discussion about them trying to introduce too many villains.
So
But
many
this
now. It doesn't.
actually works well because the Court of Owls is like a secret society that's been around for 200 years.
I've heard them described as like the Hellfire Club a little
Yeah.
bit, sort of.
Yeah, and they're like the behind the scenes we control Gotham kind of from the underworld, and they have their own like
League of
stormtroopers
Assassins.
basically.
Yeah.
They're called Talons.
Oh.
So the guy in the trailer, the still I saw from the trailer, is a guy in some type of suit. So that may be a Talon.
Cool.
So yeah, that actually may not be a problem with them introducing stuff too much. I don't. This wasn't at Dragon Con. It was some other con. Jason Momoa, who's playing Aquaman
Yeah.
in Batman vs Superman,
From
and
Game of Thrones.
and his own Khal Drogo from Game of Thrones. He says, it's cute and funny. People make fun of him. There's a bunch of jokes about him, but I'm like, just wait. Let's just wait a little bit, and then you can make jokes.
Nice.
So this is going to be, and you can tell from the casting, this is a big, intense dude, and he's definitely has a presence. So he may very well return Aquaman to the non-joke department.
I mean, I as soon as I saw Young Justice and I saw Aqualad and his powers, I was like, damn, that's cool.
Yeah,
I mean,
and that's the thing. That's the running joke is, he talks to fish. Aquaman outside of the water can fly. He has the same strength as Superman.
He's impenetrable, right?
Yeah, because living under in the pressures of the water.
Yep.
He's got basically steel skin. He can fly. He's as strong as any one of the other Justice League. And what I love about his character is and it sounds bad for me to say what I love about his character is he's always pissed off. He's always angry, and he's got a chip on his shoulder. Because it's kind of like because you think about it, if you were someone who lived under the water and we're constantly pouring crap into the oceans, you'd be a little pissed off at the surface world too. He's kind of like he's more like Namor than people ever gave credit for. He's not as
angry Namor.
Yeah, he's not as bad as Namor.
Yeah,
because he is really pissed all the time.
Yeah,
but he has and I think Jason Momoa can give this to him. He has a regal air about him. I'm the damn king.
Yeah,
I'm king of more of the earth than anybody else.
Right,
because he's the ruler of all the oceans, and there's way more of that than there is land.
Yeah,
so he's got an attitude, and I think he can really bring it to him.
That's awesome. So when are they introducing him? How is he?
I think he'll have a cameo in Batman vs Superman.
Oh, cool.
And everybody was asking all these questions, and he's actually a really charming, funny dude. So I think he could take up a lot of the PR in a good way, because people were asking what are you going to be doing in Batman vs Superman? He's like, I could tell you, but I'm not.
Yeah.
So it was a very charming thing. He was like,
he should just say, I'm going to talk to fish.
Yeah, there you go. But he is a Hawaiian descent, so he has that kind of
Pacific Islander.
Basically, he has that look. And he's already got there's a tattoo on his forearm that fits perfectly in with
an aquatic type.
Yeah,
thing?
Yeah. It's like it's for his spirit animal, which is a shark.
Oh,
so his own
Spirit animals.
Spirit animal is a shark.
I wonder if he put that on his audition resume.
Yeah, I'm just underlined it twice.
Yeah, my spirit animal is a shark, so kind of need to do this.
Yeah,
or,
so hey, I'm
yeah.
just saying. Kind of fits. So, but yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing him as Aquaman. Also, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. released a trailer with a first very shadowy look at Lash. That we said that the Inhuman Lash is going to be played by the guy who used to be an NFL player.
Mm.
You got to look at him, but it was basically like a silhouette, and that was kind of it.
Cool.
But you also got to see Sky is now calling herself Daisy. No more Sky.
Okay.
I guess. And Lincoln, one of the other Inhumans, has a code name now as Sparkplug. So,
All right.
it kind of sounds a little silly, but hey, he has electrical powers, so I guess that comes into that.
There we go.
It's
demoralizing.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's like it's rookie hazing. But, so I'm not sure when. I'm sure it's October that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is premiering.
I'm sure. Yeah, all
Probably
those are
around
gonna...
the same week as Flash and Arrow.
We should make a little Ninja Troll like a
calendar.
Yeah, a little weekly calendar.
Yeah, here's what you got to look out for. It's probably not a bad idea. Tom Hardy says that he still wants to play Bane in the DC universe.
Really?
And he was asked if he would want to be part of that again, and he said, "Of course." This is a quote. "Of course, I'm Bane. Somebody asked me who would I want to win out in a fight between Superman and Batman. I would like to hold the pair of them under the water until the bubbles stop." So,
damn, someone's getting into character.
Yeah, he wants to be Bane bad. So, I mean, Tom Hardy is a great actor. So, I mean, if it wasn't necessarily back as Bane, it'd be nice to see him. I'm all for guys playing, good actors playing in comic book movies,
right?
Because that makes them better.
Totally.
So I'd love to see him back in a comic book movie. So
nice.
Also, Chris Evans. This is kind of a reversal from earlier this year.
Yeah,
but
right.
Chris Evans says if Marvel wants him,
there you go.
All they got to do is ask.
That's amazing.
So, because at first he was really hesitant to sign on. Bad taste from Human Torch, I guess.
It could be. Yeah.
And they had to convince him to sign on for Captain America. Then it was only for, was it a 4-picture deal? So he's at the end of it now.
His original, yeah, because he's done 2 Avengers and 2 Caps.
2 Avengers, 2. This will be the 3rd Cap, so I guess it was a 5-picture deal.
Oh, okay. So he's going to do the Civil War.
Yes.
So he's set for that.
Yeah, I think they may be done with production or shooting on that.
Nice.
I'm not sure. So yeah, he's at the end of it. At the end of Civil War, he's at the end of his deal.
Wow.
So
he could stay or go.
Yeah, they're saying, but he's saying if they want, and I think they've made really good movies, and that was something he said. It was like, they're cranking out really good movies,
which is
and it's putting
rare.
a lot of a big chunk of change in his pocket.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, yeah, I understand that you want to go and direct, but that's what he was said that when he was done with Captain America, he wanted to focus on directing.
Oh, cool.
That's great. You can direct other stuff. I mean, just pay the bills.
Yeah.
It's kind of the joke in Jay and Silent Bob. Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
Yep.
There's actually a moment in there where Ben Affleck, who's playing him, and Matt Damon, who are playing themselves, they're in some movie that's basically just cheap pandering for cash. And Affleck tells Matt Damon, "I told you, okay, you do one to pay the bills, one art house to still keep your cred, and then one just as a favor to a buddy who says that you owe him." And then he turned and looked at the camera. So yeah, it's like that. You want to do your other stuff? That's fine. Do a movie that gets you $20 million, and you don't have to worry about anything. Then you can go and do whatever you want in the off time.
That's right. You can do your rom-coms and
exactly. Do whatever you want.
The buddy films and all that stuff.
Yeah, to make the cash.
That's right.
And give us Captain America. So quite
It's
frankly.
true. It'd be hard to have
he
that
does
change.
he does really well as Captain America. I mean, we could transition and at the end of Civil War,
could be Falcon.
He may be dead.
Yeah, we may have
So
Falcon.
yeah, or Bucky.
Yeah, right.
So because Bucky's in there and he's on his team, so to speak.
Right, he's
So,
back, right? Because
Yeah.
the Winter Soldier sort of brought him back. It was less of a Return of the Jedi moment.
Yeah,
So
yeah, exactly.
he didn't
They
die.
didn't throw him into the bottomless pit.
Yeah.
So, but John Barenthal also he keeps tweeting more
scary
pictures with guns and guns and guns
yeah,
and guns.
I know. It's a little
Yeah.
scary.
He looks really good as the Punisher, and I actually just finished the season 1 of Daredevil.
Oh,
I
nice.
finally said, okay, I'm
You
gonna
can do it.
sit down and
You can
finish it up. And the reveal at the end of him in the costume was really, really nice. And again, and we talk about every time we talk about the show, we talk about Vincent D'Onofrio.
Oh, how I mean, they.
Knocked it out of the park.
Oh yeah.
The
I mean,
whole
and
thing when
real
they were,
clean break for him too at the end.
yeah. So I mean, he could be gone for a while, then he shows back up in another season,
Or never again.
or never again.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the trip, in the van, the paddy wagon, basically, when he's telling the story about the Good Samaritan.
Oh my God.
It was so masterfully done. Just the way they shot everything, they shot him, his delivery, and the way they edited everything together was just off the charts.
Wasn't it great to go see, like the flashbacks were done so well,
Mhm.
right? Seeing him grow up, his dad,
Yeah.
right? Ultimately, what he did to his dad, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like,
Yeah.
what a childhood, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he's in a boardroom and there's like $1 million everything going
Yep.
on. He's like, and it's like exactly the choice he's going to make.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It was just really, really. The entire show was just done, which makes me all the more ready to see the Punisher.
Yeah,
Because I think this is going to be the
Next
Punisher
level.
that it's going to be. Yeah.
a lot of shooting.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. And apparently John Barenthal is just.
The photos are
just-
scary, like straight up scary. Like
Yeah.
they look like somebody who like really shoots,
Yeah.
mass shoots
Yeah.
looks
What
like
they what they find on
on Twitter
What
the
they
day
find on
after.
yeah. Exactly.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's really got that look, and that's
Yeah.
horrible, but
But it's good.
very
It's-
realistic.
yeah, exactly. It's,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, and he's really. I mean, he's really getting into it, and from the get go, he immediately when he got cast, he went and started getting Punisher comics
right.
to read,
And he
get
started
the character
He started tweeting pictures of himself, like, "Oh, I got this," and then
at
boom,
comic
and
book
then-
stores. Yeah,
Right.
picking stuff up. So yeah,
Wow.
he's really committing to this, and again, he's a great actor. So
I need
it's
a
got-
role like that so I can have research.
there you go. Research is going to comic book stores and a tax write off.
Well, I'm sort of doing that now.
Well, yeah.
the multiverse.
And speaking in that same little Netflix universe there,
yeah.
Luke Cage has cast Mahershala Ali
Mm.
has been cast as Cottonmouth,
Mm.
and Simone Missick has been cast as Misty Knight. And Misty Knight, Cottonmouth is, I mean, you can tell by the name, is a villain.
Yeah.
Misty Knight.
Snakehead, Cottonmouth. Am I remembering this right?
yes,
Was he in the
you
Serpent
are.
Society or?
Yeah, I think maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember the image
No.
of he's got like
Kind of a voodoo-looking guy. Kind of
yeah.
looks like a pimp.
Yeah,
Okay, so that's the version I remember.
that's the one I remember. There is he's
Oh,
like he's
wow,
like
with
in
the
a suit,
jewel.
but yet he's got some kind of weird fangs and
Wow, the cuffs match the collar.
that's right.
Yeah. Oh man,
Gotta
what
be
a
stylish.
what a great
Got a face like
selection.
that, you got to be stylish.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
But Misty Knight is a superhero.
Oh,
As she was described as a street level superhero.
Cool.
So and she looks like Foxy Cleopatra.
does
She
she
got a big old afro.
awesome?
So that'll be interesting to see how.
I love it. Yeah, right.
Yeah, she does.
Sort of
See?
Pam Grier style.
Yeah, she's Pam
Yeah,
Grier. Yeah.
That's great.
So
Nice.
it'll be interesting to see how they're included in the show.
Yeah.
Whether she's going to be like a
Member of the team, or
member
like
of the
a
team, or
like
just-
Huntress, sort of comes and
Yeah,
goes.
yeah, exactly. So that'll be interesting. So
Oh, I'm excited about that.
yeah,
Man, it's all right. So between Netflix, the network stuff, and
we got a lot of stuff to watch.
oh man, all right, we got to get another job to pay for all
Exactly. So, all right. Well, that's a look at our movie and TV news. We're going to take a break, and coming back, we're going to take a spin of the comic rack.
Our hailing frequencies are always open. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. Just search Ninja Troll Digicast or drop us an email at ninjatroll@digitaltuxedo.com.
So, I'm a dog, and I'm kind of new to this family, but I've noticed a trend. My humans do this thing where they go around and get all my toys and hide them in this basket. But it's always the same basket, and it's always the same place. And then they act so surprised when I find them. But I'm like, hello? That's where you put it last time. Humans are the worst at hide and go seek.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
Hello, this is Brian Sulfries, and you have been listening to the Ninja Troll Digicast.
All right, welcome back to the Ninja Troll Digicast. Hey, here's something that I meant to mention earlier in the show, and I forgot about it because I'm old. I found a show on Sci-Fi called Geeks Who Drink.
Oh.
It's a trivia show.
Damn.
It's awesome. It's a lot of fun, and it's kind of almost like a drinking game. Like they say when the score's tied, we take a drink, and they're like, oh, it's 0-0. Here we go. So, and it's hosted by Zachary Levi.
Who's he from?
He was on Less Than Perfect. He was on Chuck. He was Chuck in the show Chuck.
Say his name again.
Zachary Levi. But he's really, really funny. He's that guy.
Okay. Yeah. Carson Daly's son.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, he does look like.
Yeah, sorry.
But he's very, very funny. He's a very, very good host.
Nice.
So.
And he's a nerd.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome. And they have people on there you have 2 teams of 3 people, 1 celebrity on each team. So you have a little bit of you got celebrities there, but you also got normal people, and they're all answering trivia questions that you want to jump in on yourself.
Awesome.
So, but the first episode, they got one wrong, and it's a super nerd answer, and I realize that, but I'm a super nerd.
Tell us, what was it?
They have what they call Math Busters,
okay,
where you have math questions, and they say take the number of antennas. They show you a picture of Bender from Futurama.
Okay.
But without the top of his head.
Mm-hmm.
The number of antennas on his head plus the number of Isaac Asimov's laws of robotics.
Boy.
And that's your and that's the answer
you
is you add it together and give them the answer.
Is it 6?
No, okay. Bender has 1 on the top of his head.
I thought he had 3. Okay.
No, he had 1.
Okay.
Then what they said was it was the 3 laws of robotics. But in the last robots novel that Isaac Asimov wrote, called Robots and Empire, he introduced the 0th law of robotics. So there's technically 4.
Whoa. Was that like Robot Shall Never Kill Robot or something?
No, it was the 3 laws are a robot may never harm a human.
Right. That's
law 1. Then a robot may not it's okay, now I'm starting to remember.
We're starting to take away Timmy's super nerd status badge. We're
Stop
currently unselling it from his.
It's
sash.
the 3rd law is that they can't harm themselves unless crap. Now this is not cool. I should know this stuff. But the
hashtag nerdfail.
I know.
Timmy D nerdfail.
The one he added was that they couldn't. Okay.
Oh, I love it.
A robot may not injure. Law 1 is a robot may not injure a human being or through inaction allow a human being to come to harm. 2, a robot must obey the orders given to it by a human being, except where such order would conflict with the first law. So somebody can't tell a robot to harm another human. They won't do that. And then the 3rd law is they must protect its own existence as long as such protection doesn't conflict with the 1st or 2nd law. Now, the 0th law that they introduced in Robots in Empire is a robot must not harm humanity unless must not harm humanity. And they made it the 0th law because humanity is more important than one single human.
Ah.
It's very philosophical stuff, and the a robot actually came up with that. Daniel Olivaw, who was the robot star of all the robot novels, came up with it, and he was able to basically cause harm to a human because that human would then do something that was going to hurt way more people.
Ah, interesting. Okay, got it. All right, I understand.
So,
okay, so it's
I tweeted them, and they didn't respond back. So,
well,
hey,
come on, Tim.
I'm just saying.
Not everybody has the journalistic integrity that we do.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying. Hey, I sent them a tweet and said you got one wrong. There's 4 laws, so they probably just thought I was a crackpot. So they just ignored me. So, but it's a really good show, even with their little faux pas there. It's a lot of fun. So find it. It's on Sci-Fi. It's called Geeks Who Drinks. Geeks Who Drink. So you can find that on Sci-Fi. It's a lot of fun to watch. So
that sounds great.
All right, now let's take a spin of the comic rack.
Meanwhile, back at the Cathedral of Wisdom, it's time for the comic rack. Hey, nice rack.
Knock it off, perv.
No, it's the latest news from the enormous world of comics. Right here on the Ninja Troll Digicast.
All right, Marvel Comics has announced a new ongoing series starring Red Wolf, the company's first Native American hero. And this is in the series that you read. 18. Yeah, it was created like in the 70s.
Okay.
The last time he had a regular series was 1976.
What about like what's his name?
Apache Chief.
No,
Super
he's
Friends.
DC. Yeah, from the X-Men, the Warrior. He was in the new X-Men in number 94 with the new team with Wolverine and Nightcrawler and all them. Yeah.
What's it?
Yeah, Warpath is his name.
Oh yeah, well yeah, but this guy was apparently created a long time ago.
Okay,
because they said the last time he had a regular series, or the first time he's had a regular series since 1976.
Okay, all right, he's pretty old, but I wonder if he's like as old as. Yeah, no, I recognize this character. Yeah, he's pretty cool.
And he's actually the series that you read that you were talking about, the Secret Wars series, 1872.
Mm-hmm.
He's in that.
Oh, nice.
But this is obviously going to bring him to your modern day, and they said they may tweak his origin a little bit, but he will still have kind of like a supernatural bend to it.
Cool. So witch doctor-y
kind of
thing.
Yeah.
Because he could make people face their fears, and he's pretty badass.
Yeah. It looks cool. It looks really cool. The character layout that they gave. It looks pretty cool. So
nice.
And now is another thing that you'll be interested in. After 2 years, the final issue of the Sandman Overture series is coming out.
Oh, God.
After everybody forgot it was even a thing.
Yeah.
It was like, how do you go 2 years without... I don't know what would happen.
Right. One of our favorite titles was just like, hiatus.
Yeah.
It better be good.
Yeah, exactly.
You're going to wait this long?
You've had 2 years to do something.
And don't tell us it's going to break the comic rack.
Exactly.
Just make it good.
So, yeah, I remember I read a couple of issues of that. I don't remember if I read up to, this will be issue 6, I think, and it should be the last one of the series. It's like, because it's a closed series.
Yeah.
But I remember reading it, and it was just crazy development, like the layout, the page layout. Like it was like a 2-page spread, and it was, the Corinthian, the guy who has the teeth in his eyes.
Oh yeah.
It was close up on his eye, and each tooth was a different panel. And
what?
And yeah, it was crazy. The layout was just crazy.
That's awesome.
It looked really, really cool. And I think that was probably I was waiting on another one, and it just never came out, and I've just pretty much forgotten about it.
Wow. Well, that's a memorable layout.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
About some panels. That's awesome.
Nutso.
And
it was like each page had a different kind of experimental look to it, like that.
And are some of the old artists on Sandman, like Sam Keith and stuff? Are they still
I'm not sure
involved
who's doing it. It just said it'll be out. It's later this month. It's supposed to be out. So I'm not sure. Now I'd have to go back and find the old issues to find out what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Previously on Sandman.
exactly, yeah. Marvel has announced a C-3PO one-shot coming in December.
That's great.
And that will also, it's part of the lead-in to Force Awakens. Because
Nice.
apparently in The Force Awakens, he has like one red arm.
Yeah.
So he's like went to the junkyard and
got some new stuff.
Yeah.
But he's done that. I mean, he had like the silver leg for a while. Like I think in Empire and to Return, he had like a he originally was all gold and then he had one kind of shiny chrome
I mean, they
leg.
kind of have to. I mean,
They've rebuilt him like 3 times.
Exactly. Yeah, he's been around a long time because Anakin built him when he was 8.
Kid. Yeah.
So
He didn't have skin or
exactly. Yeah.
Plate.
So I mean, and you could. I mean, that's a outer plate like that. You could just replace that with any reason. But apparently, that's what they're going to explain where the red arm comes from.
Okay. Cool.
So and Marvel will also release 20 variant covers in December.
Lord.
Featuring the 90s versions of characters drawn by some of the 90s most iconic artists. And, of course, Rob Liefeld is right there.
Top of the list.
Yeah.
No Jim Lee, though, huh?
No. Well, he's
Jim
working
Lee's
for
at
DC.
Yeah.
He's a co-publisher for DC. Now he's going to be involved. But Tom Raney, Mark Texeira, Ron Lim, J. Scott Campbell, Dale Keown, Mark Bagley. So all big names in the 90s. Not some of the, like you said, not some of the biggest ones like Jim
Jay
Lee.
Lee even?
Yeah. I think he's working for
DC as well. Oh, okay.
And there's a lot of people that are working for Image now.
Yeah.
Are still working for Image now that were big in the 90s. So
lots of extra ammo clips.
Everybody's going
mega gun. Everybody's pooping.
Everybody's pooping. Yeah. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see some of the because they're saying it's the 90s versions of the characters. So you're gonna like the cover of the X-Men. It's gonna be the old costumes from the 90s. And
will it be that X-Men #1 where like
but it was like a big fold out.
Yeah, and then like they were crushing the. Or am I thinking of the right one?
That was the X-Men #1, the one that came out in like 92 or 93.
Was that super wrap?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it folded out like 3 times, and you had Cyclops and Wolverine on one.
Mm-hmm. See this.
I think it went to Colossus and somebody else, and then it ended like the last one was Magneto. Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
Yeah, it was Colossus, Storm, Beast, Colossus,
Gambit,
and Gambit,
Psylocke.
Psylocke. Psylocke there's too.
Gray, Archangels flying in the air.
Oh, I didn't even see him back there.
Yeah.
And then you got Cyclops and Wolverine, and they're all attacking the Magneto.
Yeah.
And he's on the end.
John Diggle. Yep.
Yeah, John Diggle. Yeah, that was a big, huge folded out cover.
Yeah, I remember that.
And you could get that one that had all of them that you could fold out, or you could get each one there was like 5 different covers that you had to get. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you get a segment and you could lay them all out that way. So, because that was, it was the 90s. It was all gimmicks. Gimmick covers. Hey, there's 18 covers of this one.
Now, are these going to be tiered like the Jim Lee one? Gosh, what
no,
was
this
it
I think this is going to be
the Batman.
DC's been doing this as well. It's like a theme month. So like
the hip-hop,
exactly
hip-hop
yeah,
albums.
It's going to be like that. It's going to be like a variant cover of each issue or each series.
Yeah.
So it's not like the comic book store has to buy a certain amount to get. This is going to be like a variant that everybody. That is released to everybody. So
dude, I don't
it'll
like
be kind of fun to
pyramid
see
scheme of
buying
books.
Gimmicks.
Yeah.
Gimmicks. Crossovers. That was the first gimmick.
Yep.
Hey, I like Batman. He's in this book over here. Let me grab it. See?
And then holograms, foils.
Holograms. And
do you remember Rub the Blood? There was a bloodshot where you could.
I don't remember that.
You could rub the blood, and it would go away and then come back. Like on the back of like a check, you rub it, and then the ink fades, and then it comes back when it cools.
Now that's a cool gimmick right there. Come on. That's cool. Well, it all started with Kiss.
Really?
They're putting their blood in the
ink.
That's first.
Right.
That's the first gimmick.
There's
right
that
there.
picture, where they're like, oh,
yeah.
They're like,
pouring it in
hurts.
there. Yeah, they're pouring it in there. Yeah.
God.
See, that's what started it all. Is Kiss. Thanks, guys. Marvel has finally announced who the new totally awesome Hulk is.
Yeah.
It's Amadeus Cho.
Awesome.
This is the one where I said I'm not nearly as disappointed as I thought I was going to be. Because
Give us some background on Cho.
Amadeus Cho was like the Incredible Hulk's biggest fan.
Yeah.
When he first started hanging out with Banner, he was very, very young. I'm not sure what like age he is now, where they have him in the comics, but he was almost like a sidekick for a long time of Banner, and he's a genius.
Yeah.
So
when was he introduced?
Oh, I don't know. That's a good
Long
question.
ago, or?
It's been a while. It's
Yeah.
been a while. And actually, in Age of Ultron, do you remember? Or you haven't seen it?
It's almost out, Timmy.
Yeah, there's a
Resist, please.
there's a scene in Age of Ultron where they're talking to a doctor I think in Japan. Her last name is Cho, and that was the kind of the rumors like, oh, that's supposed to be Amadeus Cho's mom. Yeah, but he's a genius kid, and he hangs out with Banner, and so he's been kind of a sidekick for Banner for a while. That's why I wasn't nearly as disappointed. I was like, okay, this kind of makes some sense.
Yeah.
So it'll be kind of a fresh thing for the character. I mean, I don't think by any means it's not going to last forever. Just like Jim Gordon in the Batsuit is not going to last for very long.
Right.
We're going to get Bruce Wayne back. We're going to get Bruce Banner back. But it'll just be like an interesting. And hell, now there's like 5 different Hulks anyway. There's the Red Hulk. There's the Incredible Hulk. Actually, is Doc Green now.
Really?
He has his intellect. He does not want to be called the Hulk anymore. He wants to be called Doc
Hulk.
Green.
Doc
Yeah, exactly.
Green.
Yeah, he's credible. He backs up his
sources.
His sources, yeah. But he's got like a mohawk, and he wears like a tank top, like a wife beater tank top all the time. And he has he took the Extremis, so it gave him the strength of the Hulk and the intellect of Banner.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
But there's She-Hulk, there's Doc Samson, there's Atom Bomb, is Rick Jones. There's Red Hulk, and then Betty got turned into a Hulk.
Betty did?
Yeah.
Really?
So yeah, there's Hulks running around all over the place.
What's Betty's last name again?
Ross.
Betty Ross Hulk. I want
Yeah.
to see this.
Yeah, so everybody that hung out with him got turned into a Hulk at some point.
Yeah, well, he's pretty radioactive.
Yeah,
she's like a red.
Yeah, she's red.
Oh,
which
cool.
which the Red Hulk is Thunderbolt Ross.
Really?
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah, but Doc Green went on
Interesting.
a mission to, as he put it, cure all the gamma irradiated people.
Yeah.
Which they didn't really think they needed to be cured, but he didn't give them an option.
Yeah.
So
not a question.
yeah. So and coming up next week, there's a couple of the books coming out next week. Batman number 44 will give you the origin tale, and I've been reading 52, the
old series.
the old series 52. So I'm like criminally behind on my reading. So I haven't read Batman 43. So when I was looking at this and okay, these are coming out. Batman 41 it gives you the origin tale of Mr. Bloom, and it was like who was the star of the twist ending of Thor. And I was like, no, I don't want to see. No, stop reading. So I had to run away from that. So apparently there's some kind of twist ending at the end of 43 with Mr. Bloom, and we now get his origin in 44. So
Interesting.
I'm almost done with 52, so I can then get back
and
to
you
my
can
regular
resume
books.
to your
Yeah.
regularly scheduled program.
Exactly, yeah. Coming from Image Comics is Virgil, which is actually it's a re-release. Steve Orlando, who is now getting a lot of press for doing Midnighter for DC Comics, which is a gay character. So he's getting a lot of press now. So they're going to re-release his Virgil, which follows it's the tale of a gay Jamaican police officer struggling to save his boyfriend. So they're re-releasing that series.
Oh, interesting. This is Image.
That is Image, yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Then, also Star Wars Shattered Empire #1 comes out, and actually I know a guy on Facebook who works at a comic book store who's read it,
Really?
Yeah.
And?
Perks of the job, as he put it.
Yeah.
And he said the art is just fabulous.
Rad.
Fabulous. So, also, The Walking Dead number 146. Sorry. The cover shows Maggie and Rick struggling. And the way it is now in the comics, Rick is in charge of Alexandria. Maggie is in charge of another community. And so apparently there's some kind of struggle between them. And Carl had been living at Maggie's place, and then he left to go find the girl with the Whisperers.
Oh, wow.
And so Rick was visiting, found out Carl was gone. He wanted to go out and find him, and he wanted them to come with him. And she's like, okay, we're not putting people in danger because of you. So they've been kind of butting heads. Now apparently it's, as the solicitation for the issue says, a breaking point reached. So it'll be interesting and they're like really going like face to face, and she's got like a bloody lip.
Ooh.
So I don't know what's going on. But in the comics, he's lost a hand, so he's got like a hook. They fit him with like a prosthetic hook. So he's not.
Is it his right hand? Is it his shooting hand?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. By no means is he going to be kicking anybody's ass in the comic. He's been beat down a lot in the comic. So so that'll be interesting to read. That'll be see where they're going, because they at the end of last issue or the one before that is the one that we were talking about a couple of weeks ago, and Robert Kirkman basically said there's people who wait for the trade paperback, so no spoilers at the end of this when this issue comes out. And it was crazy nuts. Like they ran across some really gnarly stuff.
Oh man!
So
I'd love to really sit. I know you've mentioned that the Comixology has Walking Dead comics and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'd love to dig in on it and just see what's the real difference.
You won't stop. That was the thing. Yeah. I started late, and they were at 125 when I started reading.
Damn.
I started from one, and it was like 2 weeks, and I was like, all right, where's the next issue?
Yeah.
Oh, I got to wait a month. Damn.
I remember you really saying, I reached 100. And I was like, how on earth did you reach 100?
Dude,
you're saying it was such a good issue.
Man, you can't stop. It was great. Yeah, 100 was, I mean, of course, it's issue 100 is going to be huge. And it was really huge. So, nice. And those events we haven't seen yet in the show. So I'm waiting to see if that is what happens. So,
wow.
But yeah, that's I'm looking forward to that. And there was something else that was, I think, Invincible. We talked like a month or so ago. They had announced that Invincible was going to be rebooting.
Cool.
But not really rebooting, but he's going to be sent back in time to where he has full knowledge of everything that's happened. But now all of a sudden he's a 17-year-old again.
Oh, and his dad is still alive?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see how that happens.
Love
that
that
should
comic.
be. I love that comic. Absolutely. Yeah. Same thing there. They were on, 130 something when I started, and it's the same thing. You just can't stop. You just boom right through it.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really, really good. So, and both written by Kirkman. So
yeah,
there's your common denominator.
Boom. Yeah.
All right, but that's a spin of the comic rack. We're going to take a break, and we'll come back with our Exploring the Multiverse segment, The Crisis on New Genesis.
Ranger Station, Ranger speaking.
Hi. I'd like to report a bear hug.
Okay.
Well, before I left my campsite, I was putting out my fire, and out of nowhere, Smokey Bear showed up and hugged me?
So you drowned the fire, you stirred it, drowned it again, and felt that it was cold?
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah. He likes it when people correctly put out their campfires. He's pretty big on wildfire prevention. He's just letting you know you did good with a hug. He's a hugger.
I just got a bear hug from Smokey Bear. Status update!
All right, I'm going to let you go now. I've got a lot of ranger stuff to do. There are many ways to start a fire, but one sure way to put it out. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forester.
Hi, I'm John Carter with WBTV News, formerly of Off the Wall Comics, and I am big into geekdom and comic books, and you're listening to the Ninja Troll Digicast, the only podcast with a kick.
All right, welcome back to the Ninja Troll Digicast. That little bump in there with John Carter when he says, he is obviously an anchor on WBTV here in Charlotte, North Carolina. But he and his brother owned a comic book store in Lincolnton, North Carolina, when Chuck Charles and I lived there, and we would go in there all the time and spend a lot of money there. So we saw him at the at Heroes Con, and basically I hadn't seen either one of them in a while, and his brother Alan was the one who ran the shop mostly, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I remember you."
My kids got braces.
Yeah, exactly.
Because of you.
That shows you how much money I spent in there. So it was kind of fun to see them and get a little bump in from them like that. So, but now it's time to head for the misty borderlands and explore the multiverse.
Now it's time to explore the multiverse. On the Ninja Troll Digicast.
All right, here's our ongoing series exploring the DC Comics universe, multiverse. We started weeks ago. I don't even know, like 8 weeks ago maybe? Yeah. I don't remember.
Crazy.
But we first visited Flash of Two Worlds actually introduced the concept of multiverse, and we got to see what they call Earth 2, which is where Earth 1 is where the Silver Age Justice League lives. Earth 2 is where the Golden Age heroes from the Justice Society lived, and that's where Jay Garrick came from. So they introduced Earth 2. Then after that, they got to where, like, every summer the Justice League and Justice Society would have a crossover. So they introduced Earth 3, which is the home of the Crime Syndicate. Mm-hmm. Is that what they called them?
Yeah,
Crime Syndicate. Okay. Yep. Then we've had Earth X, Earth S, the 30th century where the Legion of Superheroes was,
the antimatter universe,
negative universe. We had the Furious Five, the heroes. What was they called? the Heroes of Forever or something like that.
Yeah,
it was like the Jonah Hex and the Shining Knight and
Enemy Ace.
Yeah,
Miss Liberty and
yeah.
But
we had Earth X with the Uncle Tom and the Freedom, not
Uncle Sam.
Uncle Sam, not Uncle Tom. It's a whole different book. Uncle Sam and the Freedom Fighters, where in Earth X, the Nazis won World War II.
Right.
So they were freedom fighters, obviously by their name. And we went to Earth S, where the Marvel family was from.
Fawcett Comics.
Fawcett Comics, yeah. And the 30th century, which I think it's 30th century of Earth 1. They never specifically said.
I think it was, yeah.
But it was the 30th century of Earth 1 is where the Legion of Superheroes is at now.
Right.
Then last week we had, what did we have last week?
We went to the Palace of Eternity, which was like sort of off into
adjacent to
the 34th century or some other century. I forget what it was, but another time travel story. But the Misty Borderland there.
Yes.
So apparently there's a couple of Misty Borderland lounges.
Yeah. Which is
each decade of swankiness.
That's where we all it's where we all need to be. So.
And then we're in now another place in the middle of some nowhere. Where we find the worlds of New Genesis.
They never really say exactly where. I mean, Superman even says they're in an other place.
Right. And I got here once in a boom tube with the Forever people and and all that stuff. So this go around, right? This goes perfect with our exploration of Kirby. Because we're looking at his fourth world, right, which is the world of the new gods, Mr. Miracle. I mean, there's a whole bunch of characters in here, superheroes that became great DC characters eventually. And this is in 1980. It's a 3-issue, 3 fat issues. Each of them came with extra pages and were sort of made into, I guess, king size, giant size, that sort of deal. As we sort of always start with these stories. They're about to have their annual joint meeting. They sort of made it now where it's like, it's the summer thing.
Yeah, and they actually did say they referenced the transmatter cube. Because
now it's a standard.
Yeah, because we were talking last week. It was like, there's no real, they never really talked about how they got there. So it was just like, driving to Monroe or something like that.
That's it.
But they specifically say, here's the transmatter cube, and that's how they do it. But this time it was like some of them were going to come over, they were going to split, and some were going to come to Earth 2, and some JSA were going to come to Earth 1, but not all of them.
No, they were. I guess, I don't know. You leave half the team there, and they were going to do like a crossover. The reason they did that was because a select group of heroes needed to go to New Genesis.
Yeah,
it made sense as to why those were selected.
Yeah.
Above others, right? Green Arrow would not do well in this.
No.
Sure, they'd
Robin.
make it fine, but it just didn't seem to work out. So they're basically abducted and whisked away through the transmatter cube. Very Star Trek-like with the transporter stuff happening there. They immediately start to they arrive in this brand new world, and they're like, whoa, wow, what is this place? And Superman is the only one who has really any context for it. He's like, oh, I know this place. I've been here before. It is New Genesis and home of new gods. And Wonder Woman makes her great statement. She's like, well, I only believe in the gods of
the gods I know, and the what is it?
Of Olympus.
The gods of Olympus that I know.
And then to not piss off everybody reading this, who's
the only true God whose nature remains unknown.
A mystery.
So we've covered everybody.
They got all the bases there, I guess. Yeah, that good save, Wonder Woman.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's the JSA. It's the Golden Age Wonder Woman.
That's right.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, it is the Golden Age Wonder Woman. So she's different powers than the Silver Age. But Genesis is empty.
Yeah.
They don't know where anybody is. They're like, what is this amazing society? And they start to get into a scuffle with Orion in the beginning. And Orion, as we know, is the son of Darkseid.
Yes.
And
we'll get into all that a little more in depth in the in Showcase in the next segment where we do a little closer in depth look at the new gods. Yeah,
that'd be helpful because I didn't have a tremendous amount of context for the new gods, so having I had to do a little bit of research on my own to try and get back to like, well, what was all this? Who cares?
Yeah.
Why should I care about all this stuff? So they get into a little bit of a scuffle with Firestorm. Firestorm is injured, and Orion is assisting him.
Yeah.
And the other heroes think that they're hurting him, so he tries to defend himself. And they after they start to sort of battle and stuff, Metron, Bartha, Mr. Miracle, whose name is Scott Free, by the way.
I love that. That's always one of my favorite names, like real names of a superhero, is Scott Free. It's just awesome.
Right. It's like Johnny Danger. I mean, it's pretty awesome. And then another character, Oberon, who are part of that New Gods team.
Yeah, Oberon is actually a human.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Miracle met him on Earth, and he became kind of like his sidekick.
That makes sense because everybody on later in the story sort of disses him for being puny and a human looking. So, all right, that makes sense now. So they try to sort of realize that Metron is sort of all knowing, omnipotent, and says, well, all this crazy stuff has gone on. I kind of know why you're here. And all this, and something is afoot. Genesis, something happened, and we don't kind of know what's up, and all this, and there's a little bit of a mystery. But what we find out is that the Injustice Society, who is really our original bad guys for that first Earth 1, Earth 2 crossover story, Fiddler, Icicle, and the Shade, who are Earth 2 villains, are basically here and causing some chaos. And we know Fiddler he knows the right note that will open up a gateway into another world, another Earth. So that's kind of cool that this is coming around full circle. Yeah. We're not quite at Crisis on Infinite Earths yet. That would have been a nice ending, but it's all good. So basically everybody on New Genesis has been kidnapped and enslaved by the minions of Apocalypse. So you have New Genesis and then Apocalypse, which are sort of these antithesis worlds that hate each other. Um, and yeah, so the Injustice Society is the reason why New Genesis has basically been enslaved and taken over. Their powers mixed with some larger force has caused all this to happen. And it really is a utopian society. I mean, it's beautiful. We're talking about great panels. We're looking at that first open panel with that picture of Power Girl. I mean, it's cinematic. I mean, we're at a whole new level. I mean, this is true modern Bronze Age, however you want to sort of describe it. A lot less reading going on, a lot more power to the picture, which I think sort of makes this really incredible.
And something we were talking about in our showcase last week with Kirby, when he created like new effects in artistry.
Oh, the Kirby
like
Crackle.
The Kirby Crackle. There's a lot of Kirby Crackle all through this.
Well, it needed to be.
It needed to be because it was the new gods.
Yeah.
I mean, so.
And Dick Dillon is on pencils on this book. I mean, he did a great job emulating the Kirby style, which I think is fantastic. So, all right, so what's going on now is the New Gods, the JSA guys, and the JLA all sort of split into like very neat and tidy teams, and they take a boom tube, which is another traveling method.
Between transporter, it can go anywhere.
Go anywhere, which is really fantastic. And there's you can see a really cool scene right there, where Orion is really disfigured because he's the son of Darkseid.
Yeah.
And he has to use that mother box.
Yeah, he uses a mother box to help him hide his. It's almost like a Jekyll and Hyde thing. Mm-hmm. His true nature, because he's the son of Darkseid,
is to be
just evil. But he fights that nature, and he uses the mother box to help him fight it.
Nice.
So.
And he's a great character. I was expecting him to be a little one-dimensional, but he's quite cool. So they're now on their way to Apocalypse, and there you go, right? There's a classic Kirby drawing of what Apocalypse looks like. Everything's on fire and gritty and dirty and nasty, and so each of the hero teams goes to these different locations, and one of the places that we go is Granny Goodness's orphanage.
Yeah, Granny Goodness is. I always loved her in the animated series.
Yeah.
They would have her, and they had a guy
what was
do
she
her
in?
voice.
Which series? Justice League or?
Yeah, it was just the Justice League animated series.
Oh, I gotta look.
They had a guy do her voice.
Oh no!
So he's like, "Oh, Granny will take care of you," and it's like a deep voice, and it's just like scary.
So Granny Goodness has a spot, and they discover that there's this huge resistance, underground resistance on Apocalypse of kids.
Yeah.
So like kids who go, they meet Bartha, who is Barda, right?
Yeah.
Who is an apocalyptian who then becomes good.
She was in Granny's orphanage.
School, yeah,
and that's where she met Scott,
right?
Mr. Miracle, yeah.
And she
also has the largest helmet of anybody I've ever seen.
Oh, it's
crazy. Huge.
She's like the Jane Foster Thor, with the level of butt kicking. Yeah. In this book.
Yeah, Big Barda is awesome.
She's great.
Yeah.
And she apparently was a royal guard for Darkseid, but then turned. There's a whole background to that, which I don't know about. So that's cool to find out. So they basically go in. They sort of are finding out all the politics of Apocalypse, what's gone on, how things have unfolded. The Injustice Society is behind it. They've built this sort of crazy machine that they're now, and the plan is revealed to bring Darkseid back from wherever he is imprisoned. And of course, it takes the Fiddler's violin to really make that kind of stuff happen. Yeah, don't you love her face?
Granny loves you.
Granny loves you. Her face is on the outside of this decrepit, horrible building. And then, there's some key characters, like this little girl, for example, sort of helps Superman and that team get to the basement of Golden Age Wonder Woman is there as well, and Big Barda to the basement of Granny Goodness's orphanage. So it comes down to now where the heroes are sort of in their respective spaces, and they come together and they start to realize that the Fiddler is about to bring Darkseid through into the space. And then we see a really cool flashback, I guess, to the New Gods, where we see how basically like, well, why is Darkseid coming back? What's so bad about him? And we see that Orion had attempted to kill him with his Astroforce powers. That's what he sort of has as abilities. In a previous battle, I guess in the New Gods, because Darkseid at that point was trying to do what the original Owen god or founder was trying to do, was to see the beginning of time.
Yeah.
Which, if you do that, basically creates chaos and created the multiverse.
Yeah.
And gave us the Monitor, Anti-Monitor. So Darkseid was again trying to do that, and Orion knew, well, if this happens, everything's going to be crazy. So when he shoots him with his ray, Apocalypse falls, or not Apocalypse, sorry, Darkseid falls to the surface of Apocalypse, and the Apocalyptians think that it's an attack from New Genesis, so they blast him with this like experimental ray,
It's
which
the
we think the Unicannon, which we think gives him a unibrow, but it doesn't. It sent him somewhere.
Wow.
It disintegrated him, but because he's really a force of evil and a god, it was not successful in destroying him. So that was like a cool sort of flashback with what's going on. But now here's a really interesting, because this ends this first book. Here's a really interesting thing, is that this is Dick Dillon's last book on the JLA, because in March of that year, this came out in September, he had passed away.
Yeah.
So Dick Dillon, who had been drawing the JLA for a decade,
Yeah.
in the middle of this epic crisis story,
Yeah.
passes away.
Yeah.
He was 50 years old. I mean, it was just a young guy from upstate New York, But the amazing George Perez
Oh, I love me some George Perez.
steps in.
God, look at his. If you look at,
It's
and
way
I
different.
know we're
Way different.
This is audio, so you can't see what we're looking at. But the one thing I always loved about George Perez is his backgrounds.
Oh,
Dude, there's so much going on in the background.
I know.
He everything was so detailed back there. It was just crazy.
And I got to say, as we get closer to Crisis, everything's really starting to make sense now.
Yeah.
Like what they should say at the bottom of Crisis is, read the last 25 years of our stuff and you'll get this book.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is like, all right. And now seeing George Perez, having the context for him, I was just like, man, that's incredible. George Perez had just started at DC that year.
Yep.
So literally, like, Dick Dillon died and George Perez started.
Yep.
So like he came
They
in.
were just like, hey, we need you to do this.
Yeah, and editorial schedule wise, he was able to.
Yeah.
But he had come in working on New Teen Titans with Marv Wolfman.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
that
he
was
created
his sort
him,
of.
yeah.
Right. That New Teen Titans.
Yeah, the new
brand
team.
new.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because he was working on Avengers at Marvel before that. He was.
He loves the team books. That's the thing. That's why Crisis. He loved that.
Yeah.
Because that 1-2-page shot in Crisis,
all the heroes,
of
in
the satellite where everybody's there. He loved. That's his favorite panel ever.
I mean, and it's. Yeah.
And that's just like I was saying, the background detail. If you look at that panel, there's a 2-page spread, but every one of them is perfectly drawn. Everybody is perfectly detailed.
Yeah.
Everything.
Everything's on F64, right?
Yeah.
Like, everything is just beautiful and crisp.
Yeah.
But wow, what a so R.I.P. Dick Dillon. I
Yeah.
mean, the man's work was epic. He left an
Yeah.
indelible mark. I think this was the ultimate right here. This is a trifecta of greatness, because you have Dick Dillon doing Jack Kirby, right? And then you have now George Perez coming in, also doing Jack Kirby.
Yeah.
And continuing what Dick Dillon did in one story.
Yeah. So
it's like this second issue has such a man. They must have been like, whoa, let's calm down on this. So getting back into the story, this is now the Crisis Between Two Earths, or Apocalypse Now, which they borrowed from something. I don't know. Have you ever heard of that before?
No.
Yeah.
Never been used before. Go ahead.
Never. Yeah. Maybe Apocalypse Later.
Yeah.
I've heard of that. So now we're having a battle between the Injustice Society villains, and man, I gotta say, this is Firestorm's book. Firestorm kicks ass in this book in many instances. So he defeats the Shade. Power Girl and Orion they both punch Icicle in the face.
Yeah, and basically,
I thought they exploded.
I thought they did too. Yeah,
but no, that's just pieces of his face.
Yeah.
The Fiddler is like, playing, over in the corner.
Devil went down to Georgia.
Come on, dog shot. He's like, I can't hold this note forever. And yeah, it's just enough time for Darkseid to cross over into the new space. As I'm reading this, I'm thinking of that moment with Brainiac in Convergence when they're trying to bring him through, right? And it's like taking him a while, and there's like, oh no, hold it, and it was, it felt very much like that.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, but the portal bad guy coming through Impending Doom is not a new thing by any means. But super cool nonetheless. And one thing that I if you jump back there a page, is we're seeing now the classic, the classic Perez sort of pastel paneling, where it's like all one color. I mean, there's, gosh, I mean, how do you sort of say to your colorist, like, do this? It's one more. You'll see it's beautiful. It's in the the notes too.
Yeah.
So what a cool panel, where it's like the final note.
It's kind of it's not quite flashbacks, but it's like a different effect on each one.
Right.
That the music is having on each Firestorm, Power Girl, and Orion. Yeah. So it each has a different color to it. So and that'd have to be instructions to the colorist to say.
Just monochromatic, keep it simple, and yep.
But that is one of his signatures.
Which I was like, wow, where have I seen that before? And I was like, Crisis. Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Yeah.
So, all right, so things get a little bit fun now. That was kind of serious because Darkseid's here, so, oh my God.
Yeah.
So now Superman, Earth 2 Wonder Woman, and Big Barda encounter the Underground Fighters, who are all children living beneath the fortress of Granny Goodness. And the training mistress of Darkseid's elite troops. And their leader, I love it. This is the funniest thing. And look at that shot, that orthographic
It's almost like Escher.
Right.
Yeah.
Multiple planes, sort of like a camera, like a security camera lens looking down on this underground space.
Yeah.
But you see the kid leader calls him Biggins. He's like, what are you doing bringing Biggins here? Referring to the heroes.
And that might be something left. I don't know if this little group of resistance fighters is specifically from Kirby's work, but that's something he always loved, is the kid gang stuff.
Well, they're certainly
and
there.
And that would be something, calling them Biggins. Yeah. That's it would be definitely something that he would love.
Oh man, because we spoke about this before, right? The Kid Commandos,
Commandos, the Newsboy Legion, all stuff and Forever People, for that matter, that was part of the Fourth World, was like a kid gang,
right? In that futuristic, freaky car. And, yeah, absolutely.
Speed buggy.
Yeah, right. With the old, yeah, okay. And then it's really interesting. Like, there's a really poignant moment where one of the kids asks Big Barda what love is.
Yeah, because they don't know.
She says,
That's the
"I
thing.
love Mr. Miracle."
Yeah, Granny she's
teaching them well.
Yeah, she beats any good feelings or any happiness out of them to where they don't even know what love is.
Right, and it's like, oh man, no, I just got.
Granny loves you.
Love? Tell me, Granny.
Granny loves you.
Is this the love? Now get it out of here. And then we meet a really cool kid who's what's called a multicog. He's a multicognitive who can see all. And then he tells us through a vision the story. You can see really funky, cool, sort of psychedelic panel about this, about how Darkseid summons the Injustice Society. So wherever he was trapped, Phantom Zone, I don't know, wherever it was, he's able to create an animate version of himself.
Yeah, he busts out of the sidewalk or something.
But it's all stone. It's like help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope. So it's a hologram of sorts.
Yeah, exactly.
That he can project into this world. And it says, meanwhile, the Injustice Society is committing a petty crime.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, okay.
Hey, that's what they do, man.
But he basically scares the ish out of them.
Yeah.
And says, you better help me or I'm going to just crush you and destroy you and all this stuff. They don't have a choice. So it's not like they're like, yeah, you're cool. He basically says, bow to my will or forever perish.
Which is what he always does, basically.
Amen. Yeah. So they go now and they decide that they have to find Granny Goodness and they have to fight her, him, her, something like that. It's one of the baddies, all that good stuff. But a quick shift, and again, this is a really nice sort of George Perez thing. Just a quick jump to some other story at that key moment. Dr. Fate, Green Lantern, for Hal Jordan, and Oberon rescue Isaiah, who is the High Father of New Genesis. So he's like the Odin.
Yeah,
exactly. But he's super powerless, and he can't really do much.
Darkseid put him in chains, so
and
or
took
not
away.
Darkseid, the other people on Apocalypse. We don't get Calabac.
Right.
I wish we did because
This is like his
it's
minion.
his son.
Yeah,
Calabac
right.
is his son, and he's
As
about
is
as
Orion, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's about as bad as Darkseid is.
I remember Calabac from Superpowers because they had a character of him, like a toy of him. So let's see here. All right, so so they free Isaiah, and he can only be more of a guide because he's not very powerful. And then now we switch again. Batman, Huntress, and Mr. Miracle invade the Imperial Palace, where they uncover now the plot to, and this is the big plot, which is they're going to take Apocalypse and transport it into Earth 2's world. And you can see there's a picture, which is great on the computer. It always helps to have the visual aid.
This plus Earth 2 equals rubble.
Equals boom.
Yep.
And it's going to go to Earth 2 and destroy Earth 2, which is the home of the Justice Society. Mr. Miracle is like over the top in these panels.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, "Rawr!" Like always screaming and just sort of, he's just, but I guess it goes well with what's going on.
Yeah.
And that ends that second book. And then our third here, things wrap up fairly quickly, which is now the Crisis on Apocalypse or Darkseid Rising.
There you go.
So now Metron uses his Mobius chair. This is another great panel.
Yeah,
great
two-page
spread.
Panel. That's just crazy.
And he's cruising past things, and he's able to slow the speed of the chair in order to see everything that's going on inside of a boom
And
tube.
that's the thing with Metron. He is the Watcher essentially.
Yeah,
he's not of either New Genesis or Apocalypse. He's
interesting.
Separate.
Cool.
And he is a gatherer of knowledge, and so he's like the Watcher.
Nice.
So it's like a new version. I mean, Kirby created the Watcher.
Yeah.
So he created another version of it, basically.
Metron. Yeah. He's a really great character. He plays a big role too in defeating Darkseid. Right. Obviously, that will happen. I really thought of him there as Pariah. I thought of him really sort of in that role where he can't interfere, but he can warn and talk and advise. So Green Lantern, Dr. Fate, Oberon, and Isaiah are battling Darkseid's demons. Superman, Wonder Woman of Earth 2, and Big Barda help the young freedom fighters liberate the students of Granny Goodness's orphanage. So they take her down. She's real scary looking. And, yeah. And, you'll never defeat me, haha. But she basically, they get all the kids to uprise. That's all they need to do is to get the kids to
there's
turn.
so many. Yeah, there's so many kids that they can't. There's only like 3 guards for like 100 kids. Yeah, so
this was a Temple of Doom moment,
basically. Yeah,
where they free all the little kids from the mine.
Oh, God.
Yeah,
I love Granny. Look at that.
Yeah, she's
kill them.
Yeah, she's epically
awesome.
all sorts of wonderful. And they have a great battle. Wonder Woman really kicks her butt.
Yeah,
and lots of cool experimental panels, lots of overlays and funkiness. I mean, it was just made for a really great reading of the book. So that they basically now the heroes and the Injustice Society, because the Injustice Society has pretty much been cast aside by Darkseid.
He actually threw them in jail or a cell because that was the thing that. The explainer from Darkseid, he just admitted to them, I just used you because I knew you could get me out. And when the unicannon blast propelled him, he came to treasure the meaning of living things, the soft glow of the sun at dawn, the gentle waft of a breeze across one's brow, even the scent of a flower in bloom. Yes, even a god may be affected by his own death. And he's holding a flower.
Yeah.
And then he crushes it and says, I shall never forgive myself for such weakness. Never. That's how evil Darkseid is. Just the fact that he had a good thought once, he won't forgive himself.
He's done.
It was like, oh man,
He gave himself permission to kick his own ass.
exactly. Yeah.
So folks are trapped in cubes and ice and all that stuff and everything. Power Girl and Orion, and then Batman, Mr. Miracle, and the Huntress come to the rescue. And then our other teams, the Dr. Fate, Green Lantern, and Isaiah and Oberon, are dealing with all of the Imperial Guards and everything like that. I mean, it's just a good butt kicking. And then at a sort of a critical moment, I love the lawnmower, by the way. You'll see
Yes,
Green Lantern makes a lawnmower
Green
to
Lantern
knock
makes
down.
a lawnmower. Yeah.
But
That's what he
Isaiah
did.
has a little bit of power left, and he creates this big shock of Kirby Crackle that sort of blasts people off. But then he's so
Yeah,
he's
that
so
almost
beat down.
that did him up. It took basically all the strength he had left.
Yeah. And then there's a little girl named Crimson who sort of comes into her own and helps Superman and Wonder Woman really defeat these kind of nasty one of the guards from Granny Goodness's place.
Yeah, she was the leader of the resistance.
Yeah.
Down in
freedom
in the
fighters.
dungeons. Yeah.
But she didn't. She was a little hesitant sometimes to sort of jump into things. I think now she's sort of empowered by having the heroes
Yeah.
all there to assist her. But now, as we start to get into the final throes of things, it's now revealed, right, that Darkseid's plan is coming to fruition, and he wants to basically just hold off the heroes so that he can transport Apocalypse to the Earth 2 universe. He's got this sort of mega ray that Metron he sneaks in and then reprograms the ray to actually shoot to target Darkseid instead. And I guess Darkseid's major power from his arms are these Omega blasts.
Yeah, and see that changes to later. He has the Omega beams
In
out
his
of his eyes.
Yeah.
But it's the same. It's basically the same force, and that's what getting that force is what caused him to be changed into this rock. His skin is now rock.
Oh wow.
That's what caused that.
So he was a normal
Yeah, basically.
Apocalyptian.
Yeah,
and-
exactly.
And then he changed.
Yeah.
Oh, that's quite interesting. He then uses this after all the heroes are free and they're about to fight and take him down. He uses the Omega Blast, shoots it, and then Firestorm makes a little kind of loop-de-loop.
It's an elemental funnel, basically.
Yeah.
It just kind of loops it right back at him.
Because he can change the atomic structure of things.
Yep.
And then that Omega beam goes back and then blasts Darkseid. And then to really finish things off, it's the reprogrammed super beam that he was using to move the planets into the new orbit shoots him instead. Right, it's Metron who really is the one who comes to rescue. Metron and Firestorm are our real super heroes there. And we think he's destroyed. Hopefully, the battle is over, and then everybody returns to their respective worlds. Again, another abrupt kind of ending.
Yeah, well,
which
they
is
end. They end quickly.
Oh, they just drop it.
Yeah, they drop it. Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, we got to go. Yeah, wrap it up. Okay, so my sort of overall is that this was a really good story.
It was very good.
I think for it to be a crossover was great. I mean, it really took into account sort of all this fun stuff. I think the previous Murder Mystery was I think one of their better stories. This felt most like Crisis.
Yeah.
The separate teams all doing different things in different locations that have some sort of correlation, and then they all come back together to meet to do one thing.
Yeah.
And then it's always the sort of the character you don't think who's going to be the one who helps, right? I didn't think Firestorm was going to be able to take him down or control the Omega Force.
Yeah.
I thought it would be a Superman, type of big fight. But I think overall it just sort of really sets up Crisis really, really well. And now we're seeing George Perez right on art for it.
Yeah.
So we don't have Marv yet on JLA.
Yeah.
But that was man, if there's ever a primer for how this is going to go, that is it. But what I want to do here real quick is just give you that we have, before Crisis on Infinite Earths, what seems to be our BC AD
exactly. Yeah.
type of breakdown.
Yeah, pre-crisis and post-crisis is the usual meridian line in the DC universe.
That's it. Yeah. With great importance as well. So we've got now crisis number 14. Wow. So we've read 13 crises.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess the Undeclared had 7 of them in there as well.
You had a cluster there.
Yeah, it was a cluster.
Crisis cluster.
So we've got now 1, 2, 3, 4 crisis stories left before Crisis.
Crisis. And we'll probably have to do a couple weeks at least for Crisis.
I think Crisis on Infinite Earths will be 4 weeks maybe.
Yeah,
I think.
because it's huge.
To read those
12,
sections.
Yeah, it's 12 parts. So
and that's big. So the next one we have is Countdown to Crisis and Crisis in Limbo. JLA and JSA fight Ultra Humanite and the Secret Society.
Ultra Humanite.
And that's JLA 195. Oh, is it Ultra Humanite?
Ultra Humanite.
I'll practice that. That's 1981, and then that's coming up. And then I think we'll get a little bit of Earth Prime. The All-Star Squadron is going to be in that next one. Crisis on Earth Prime, which is after that. Crisis in the Thunderbolt dimension.
Okay.
So we're going to see
go back to
Johnny Thunder.
Yep.
The bad Johnny Thunder. They fight him again. The Family Crisis.
Yep. What is that?
JLA, JSA, and Supergirl fight the Commander and the Crime Syndicate.
Oh, okay, cool. So the Crime Syndicate's coming back.
Yeah, they are. So they were banished somewhere, and I guess we're going to see them again. And then that's it. We go right into the Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Yeah, that's going to be a big one. So
wow,
yeah,
exciting.
Cool.
Yeah,
cool.
So
All
that
right,
does it for us, Timmy.
All right, cool. We're going to take a break, and we're going to come back, and we're going to have our showcase, the third part of our Jack Kirby showcase, starting with the New Gods, which makes sense, and from that until the end of his career. So we'll hit that right after this.
Our hailing frequencies are always open. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. Just search Ninja Troll Digicast or drop us an email at ninjatroll@digitaltuxedo.com.
Just now, another kid dropped out of school. There's one every 20 seconds. Over 200 kids an hour. That adds up to nearly 5,000 kids every school day. If we do nothing, 3.5 million kids won't receive a diploma over the next 4 years. But there is someone who can change that. And that someone is you. United Way knows that kids who have a caring adult in their life are more likely to make it. So make a pledge. Tutor a child who needs help. Mentor a kid who needs someone on their side. Volunteer to read to children. Because the path to success or failure starts long before graduation day. And the difference between a graduate and a dropout could be you. Take the pledge to volunteer now at unitedway.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
Your weekly dose of the Ninja Troll Digicast.
Now, welcome back to the Ninja Troll Digicast, and now it's time for our showcase segment where we've been the last couple of weeks. We've been looking at Jack Kirby. So this is part 3 of our showcase on Jack Kirby.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ninja Troll Digicast proudly presents the Showcase.
All right, like I said, we've done parts 1 and 2. We started with Kirby in the Golden Age and the work he did with Captain America with Joe Simon and all the other stuff he did, and then he went on to the Silver Age, or the Marvel Age, is like we like to call it, where he spent 10 years. The longest time he ever spent in any one company was in the 60s with Marvel. He was there for an incredible 10-year run, creating some of the most iconic characters in the history of the business that are still, still very, very popular, still the biggest things out there. He left Marvel to go to DC Comics. When he first went there, he didn't want to push anybody off of a book. So the only book that didn't have a steady team was Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen. So he took that book out of all that he would work on. He took that one because he didn't want to push anybody out of a job.
Nice.
He took that one because it didn't have a regular
Wasn't there a first appearance of a big baddie?
He introduced the Fourth World in Jimmy Olsen.
Right.
Yeah, he introduced. It was a cameo, but Darkseid.
Yeah.
Was first introduced in Jimmy Olsen's pal. I mean, Superman's pal, Jimmy Olsen. Exactly. Yeah, it was very weird, but he worked on that, and then he started putting together plans for a series of interlinked titles that would become to be known as the Fourth World. He initially came up with the idea as he was working on Thor. That's where New Gods came from, because he wanted to destroy all the old gods.
Yeah.
And of course, they're not going to let him do that.
No.
They made too much money off of that.
Yeah.
So he wanted to have 2 planets at war and end with Ragnarok. And the New Gods books actually start right after the gods had destroyed each other. The old gods had destroyed each other. And the first pages show a planet torn in half and armored gods holding swords and dying on a fiery battlefield. So it could be just completely straight out of Thor.
Awesome.
Yeah, so all this stuff. The planet that was torn in half was called Ergrund, which is German for primeval ground.
There you go.
And it formed New Genesis and Apocalypse. So that's why they're opposing forces. They came from one world and were ripped apart. New Genesis, like we were saying in the story this week, New Genesis was a utopia. It was ruled by Highfather, and Apocalypse was the exact opposite. It was just a nightmare filled with machines and fire pits, and it was hell, basically.
Yeah.
It's heaven and hell, exactly. Kirby began, like we just said, but he began some of the Fourth World elements in Superman's pal, Jimmy Olsen. Then the new Gods and Forever People debuted in February of 1971, followed by Mr. Miracle in April of 71. All of them written and drawn by Jack Kirby. And the Forever People, like we were saying, I mean, the New Gods was set around Apocalypse and New Genesis. But the Forever People was like a kid gang, and they were on Earth. And that's how Superman interacted with them and was taken through a boom tube. He was taken to New Genesis.
Yeah.
So it was like almost like a Scooby Gang kind of thing. They were there on Earth, and they had the little souped up buggy and all this stuff.
There's a small spot where Superman says, these are people just like me. And then Power Girl says, like, well, why did you leave?
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I'm Superman.
I got responsibilities, man. Come on. So
I got rent.
Yeah. Darkseid was the leader of Apocalypse and was introduced in a cameo in Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen number 134, and then fully in Forever People number 1. He modeled Kirby modeled the character after Adolf Hitler, and actually his face was modeled after Jack Palance.
Oh, nice.
You kind of think about it. Yeah, I can see that.
Believe it or
not. Yeah, he had this big, craggy face. Yeah, I can see that. I don't know. Jack Palance might not like hearing that, but hey. The New Gods introduced Highfather, who is the leader of New Genesis. We saw him in our story from the multiverse this week. Orion, his son. Metron, a gatherer of knowledge that is neither from New Genesis or Apocalypse. The reason this whole setup between the two, to make peace between the 2 planets, Highfather and Darkseid exchanged sons to keep the other from attacking. So that way, on the other planet was your son, so you're not going to attack that planet because he may get hurt. So that works for Highfather. It wouldn't. Darkseid wouldn't give a damn.
Yeah. All right.
But
you didn't clean your room.
Exactly. Yeah. Darkseid sent his son Orion to live on New Genesis, and Highfather's son Scott Free was sent to live on Apocalypse. Orion learned to control his rage, like we saw using the Mother Box that helped, and his dark nature, and became the greatest warrior either planet had ever known. Scott Free didn't. That's the thing. Orion, growing up, knew he was Darkseid's son, and he knew to fight that. Scott Free grew up in Granny's orphanage and had no idea that he was Highfather's son.
Wow.
And then when he finds out later, he's got a lot of problems. So listen, you sent me there. So he's got a lot of problems with Highfather.
I bet. Yeah.
Because it's horrible. The existence he had there was absolutely horrible.
This is so close to the Thor story. It's like
exactly,
it's
yeah,
amazing.
exactly. So, he has a lot of issues with Highfather after he gets out of there, and that's what made him the greatest escape artist. He kept getting out of there,
right?
And that's his whole gimmick is he's a great escape artist. So, while he was there, he met and fell in love with Big Barda.
Yeah.
And they ended up getting married after they got out of there. The New Gods and the Forever People, unfortunately, it only lasted 11 issues before it was canceled.
That's short.
It wasn't very long, and Mr. Miracle lasted a little longer. It was 18 issues, but then they were all canceled.
Wow.
But I read different reports that DC wanted him to include other, like they wanted Dead Man to be in an issue and stuff like this, and he wanted it to stay its own. I think he had plans for basically a closed series. He had the story laid out,
right?
But they wanted him to keep going, and so he kind of adjusted what he was doing, but then it didn't really sell that well, so they were planning to cancel it, but they wanted him to put other stuff in it, and it was like that's one recurring theme in Jack Kirby's career. He always seemed to butt heads with management.
Yeah.
And they wanted him to do stuff that he didn't want to do. And rightfully so at this point. It's like, listen, I made this deal to come here and do this because you said I could do what I wanted.
And that's it. Yeah.
And, yeah. So,
it wasn't until 10 years later that they did an integration.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Proper one, at least.
Yeah, they did they kind of restarted them after, I think in 76, after he had already left the company.
Oh, really?
And so somebody, I think, maybe in Jerry Conway, I don't remember who wrote it, but he had already left, so it didn't really go well.
And DC retained the New Gods properties.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, there was that was still at the time it wasn't even a thing to have a creator-owned thing. If you created something working for DC Comics, it was owned by DC Comics.
Oh, wow.
They could do whatever they wanted to with it. But after that was they were canceled, he also, actually kind of in the same time, he produced one-shot black and white magazines called Spirit World and In the Days of the Mob. That was in 1971, so that was like right as he first got there.
Wow.
After the Fourth World was canceled, he created other DC series such as OMAC, which is the One Man Army Corps, Commandy, The Last Boy on Earth, The Demon. It follows Etrigan, a demon who, despite the fact that he's a demon, usually finds himself allied with forces of good, and Cobra, which actually didn't debut until 1976 after he'd left the company. So he worked on it. It just kind of laid around. And then they put it out afterwards.
That's that editorial schedule.
Exactly.
Produced ahead of time.
Yeah. And then I was thinking about it. That's what we were talking about yesterday. He went back to the stuff he knows works.
Mm-hmm.
War comics.
Yeah.
The fantasy stuff with he used to do Khazar.
Right. The Tarzan character.
Yeah. He goes and does Commandy. The One Man Army Corps is the war.
Yeah.
The Etrigan is, again, the supernatural stuff. That's the stuff he knows works, and he goes back to doing it.
The schlock.
And it's
no romance stuff.
No, he didn't do any romance, but
yeah.
That's the stuff he knows, and he also actually, again with Joe Simon, he worked on another series, The Losers in Our Fighting Forces.
Ah.
So he's back to another war comic in working with Joe Simon again.
Wow.
I'm sorry. No, he didn't. Joe Simon didn't work with him on The Losers in Our Fighting Forces. He worked with him on a new incarnation of the Sandman, the Golden Age Sandman, that they had revamped once before. They worked together again on a new incarnation of the Sandman. He worked on 3 issues of what they called the first issue special anthology. And he created Atlas the Great, a new Manhunter, and I love this name, the Dingbats of Danger Street.
Love that.
A kid gang. Again, he goes back to the stuff he knows works, or he thinks works. I think that by that time they had kind of worked out of it. Nobody's buying the kid gang stuff. But but he goes back to the stuff that he feels most comfortable with. But then at the comic book convention MarvelCon in 1975,
Wow.
during a Fantastic Four panel, Stan Lee announced that Jack Kirby was going to be returning to the company.
And everybody lost their damn minds.
And everybody lost their. Well, at first everybody they were kind of a little incredulous, like that's not going to happen. Then Jack Kirby walked down the center aisle and joined them up on the in the panel.
Wow, what
a
Hall H moment.
Exactly.
Back in the day.
Exactly. Yeah. And he immediately went back to work on Captain America, and actually the cover that he returned to, it was called Mad Bomb. I actually have made a wall art out of it, and it's full on big fist, square jaw, chin, Captain America. It's like everything that's awesome about Kirby is that cover.
And what a year to do it in.
Yeah.
Right.
1976. Yeah, it's
can't do anything.
Can't get better.
America has sold greater than sex.
And actually, in that issue, Henry Kissinger was in it.
What?
Actually, Henry Kissinger was in that issue. I remember.
Are you
that.
kidding me?
Yeah.
We're gonna have this end in the captain.
But he also he worked on the regular Captain America, which at that time it was actually Captain America and Falcon. He was a regular part of the book.
Yeah, the combo book.
Yeah, and but he also worked on the Treasury format side. It was a oversized Treasury format. Captain America's Bicentennial Battles. I'd love to find that because that's got to be pretty good.
Oh, I bet it's fun. Yeah.
He also created this the series The Eternals, which introduced a race of alien giants called the Celestials. Who actually, that's where they came from. Yeah,
the Celestials they were in Infinity Gauntlet. And
they're a huge part of, still to this day, they're a huge part of the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
And they basically tinkered with prehistoric Earth, and so and that has become part of the canon of the Marvel universe, that they messed around with basically prehistoric humans.
Awesome.
So. He created those, I guess, in 76 or 77, something like that.
Oh, that's great.
He also worked on an adaptation and expansion of 2001: A Space Odyssey, which, again, I'd love to read that. That would be good.
Really?
He worked on the Black Panther series and created Machine Man, who is an android superhero, and Devil Dinosaur, a red T-Rex, and his friend Moon Boy, who are from the dinosaur world. An alternate Earth where dinosaurs coexist with primitive humans.
Wow. You mean that's not true?
Hey, you never know.
I've been to some amusement parks where that's
true. Yeah. And again, Devil Dinosaur, I haven't heard anything about Moon Boy in a while, but Devil Dinosaur has a new series.
Seriously?
Actually, they're doing Moon Girl. That's right. It's
there
Devil Dinosaur and Moon Girl.
Equal opportunity.
Yep, there you go.
Will he be a plant eater?
Go
around.
No, he's got big teeth. Yeah, he was in Secret Wars. There's a in the Incredible Hulk, the Planet Hulk series, Secret Wars series.
Yeah.
Steve Rogers and Devil Dinosaur are stuck in Greenland, which is what they call it because it's a land of Hulks.
Yeah.
And they're trying to make their way across Greenland. So. Devil Dinosaur is just kind of funny. It's like, the little short arm T-Rex.
Can't really hold the shield.
Exactly, yeah. So it's weird, but it's kind of fun. So
awesome.
He also collaborated one last time with Stan Lee to produce Marvel Comics' first graphic novel, The Silver Surfer: The Ultimate Cosmic Experience, in 1978. Which I don't remember that, so I might have to look for that.
Yeah.
That'd be fun to see them working together for the last time, basically. But as happens a lot with him, he left Marvel again in 1979 to join Hanna-Barbera in their animation department.
Awesome, with Alex Toth.
Yeah. He worked on Turbo Teen. He worked on Thundar the Barbarian.
Awesome.
And other animated series, including the new Fantastic Four animated series.
Yeah.
He worked on that. So who better to work on that than Jack Kirby? He also illustrated an adaptation of the Disney movie The Black Hole for the
awesome.
Treasury of Classic Tales comic strip.
I love that movie.
Yeah, it was awesome.
That was a really good one.
Yeah. And then and this is the interesting thing it kind of started me when I found out about this. It started me on this whole thing of looking at his whole career. In 1979, he drew concept artwork for a film adaptation of Roger Zelazny's science fiction classic Lord of Light.
Yeah.
He produced a set of set design drawings that were supposed to be used as architectural renderings for a theme park called Science Fiction Land, which sounds like an awesome idea.
Yeah, I know. Imagine.
None of this came to be, but those drawings were used by the CIA for their Canadian caper that was made famous in the movie Argo.
Yeah.
And that just come out a little while ago that his son or his grandson, or maybe his son, I don't remember, found some of the old concept work, other stuff that he had still had around the house.
And they made that connection.
And it
right?
was crazy. It was psychedelic, just nutso stuff.
I bet. Yeah.
But it was really cool stuff. And the guy that he worked on that project with never even realized that they had used that stuff because, I mean, they bought it and never did anything with it. He just kind of, forgot about it and went on about his business.
Yeah.
When he saw Argo, he realized, hey, that's our stuff. And they realized that they had used it.
That's so cool. Yeah.
That's nuts. It's a crazy story. So, in the early 80s, Kirby made a deal with Pacific Comics that at the time was groundbreaking, but was a real trailblazer. He produced a creator-owned series called Captain Victory and the Galactic Rangers.
Wow.
And Silver Star. So at the time in the early 80s, that was completely unheard of.
Yeah.
Nuts. But that was the way of the future.
Oh, absolutely.
So, Jack Kirby, again, was at the forefront of a movement in comics like that.
Again,
you
never would have thought. Yeah, you
Yeah.
always think it's the image guys.
Yeah. But this was 10 years before they even thought about doing this.
Right.
So he continued to work for DC during the 80s, including a brief revival of the Fourth World in 1984 and 1985.
Mm-hmm.
So right before Crisis, he kind of had a reboot of the Fourth World.
Cool.
But we were talking about Orion. He got a new look basically, like the thing that we were the multiverse segment that we were reading today.
From 1980.
He had gotten a kind of a revamp from his original look. He looked much more superhero-ish than his original. His original look was, he had this big helmet. He had the harness that, and that's what
it looked like an Inhuman.
It was very which Kirby created the Inhumans. So,
yeah, right.
But he had a much different look.
The helmet, and the like sled.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the big harness and the sled, and that's where the Astroforce fired out of that actual harness instead of his hand. So they changed that, so it made his look a whole lot different. Made him more of like a costume superhero.
Yeah.
But then in 1987, Marvel, through a lot of pressure from a lot of different artists that still work there, they finally returned about 2,000 pages of Kirby's original artwork. It was 2,000 pages, but he had produced an estimated 10 to 13,000 pages for them.
And I mean, we're talking silver, golden, silver, which are different sizes, right?
Yeah.
Bronze Age stuff.
Yeah.
Man.
And that's something. If you just stop and think about it, that somewhere out there, there's God knows how many pages like that
of his work.
How
much finished?
Yeah.
How much unfinished? Pencil sketches must be. Twice that.
His house has got to be littered. It had to be just completely littered.
Yeah,
with stuff.
This and that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember this. I actually remember when this came out, and I remember getting it, and then a couple weeks ago, I was at an antique shop and looking through some comics, and I found one of these. In 1993, Topps was trying to get into the card company was
Right.
trying to get into the comics business.
Right, we talked about this.
And they tried to break into comics with a series they dubbed the Kirby verse. It was a bunch of different stuff that he basically had in his files.
Yeah. Satan's 6.
Yeah, I remember
The
that
Secret City Saga.
Yep, that was his.
Captain Glory.
Captain Glory. Yeah, that's the one I found at the Captain Glory was the one I found at that store. I was sitting there flipping through $1 box, and I looked at it, and it was it looks like it looks a lot like Captain America.
Wow.
And he's got the star on his chest, and instead of an A on his head, he's got a star.
Yeah.
And it's like, I picked it up and I was like, whoa, that's Kirby.
Him,
and I was like, yeah, I'm taking that with me. So yeah, it was obviously stuff that like I said, it was in his files. He had just had it laying around and just say, hey, let's use this.
Yeah, right. We need a character.
Yeah, but it was a big series. Unfortunately, Topps really didn't know what they were doing, so it kind of collapsed on itself. But they were actually a lot of the stuff that they did with Topps. He had originally come up with for his Pacific deal, but Pacific was out of business by then. I mean, he made the deal, 10 years before then, but they'd already, Yeah.
Bye.
So I've never heard of Pacific even being an issue. So
yeah.
And unfortunately, that was in '93 when Topps did that. But on February 6th, 1994, Jack Kirby died at the age of 76 of heart failure at his home in Thousand Oaks, California. At the time of his death, he was working on a comic called Phantom Force, drawn by him and co-written by him, Michael Thibodeau, and Paul French. And Image Comics released issue 1 and 2 and I think this was as a tribute to him. They had a bunch of different artists ink it. It sounds good on paper, but it was a mess. It just looked
Phantom Force.
Yeah, it looked kind of bad because it's Jack Kirby's pencils, but it's everybody else's inking over the top of it, and it just didn't really come off that well. But yeah, that was issue 1 and 2.
Oh yeah.
Issue.
Wow, I have this.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I've got it at home.
Wow.
It was an Image number 1, and me thinking Goonies is going to have a sequel.
Exactly. So yeah, you've got some Jack Kirby stuff then.
Oh wow! Well, I remember going like, "Wow, this looks so classic."
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, Image did issue 1 and 2. Then Genesis West, who I've never heard of, did issue 0 and then 3 to 8. But only 0 and 4 were penciled by Kirby. Oh. The rest was done by I think Paul French, one of the guys he was working with on it.
Okay.
So at least you had somebody that was in the project with him do it. But I mean, the impact of Jack Kirby on the business as a whole just cannot be overstated.
Amazing.
Because I mean, he like we said, even with the idea of a creator-owned series, years ahead of his time, just like he was with all the different techniques he did, the creations he came up with. I mean, you think about the characters that were created in just that decade at Marvel Comics between him and Stan Lee. I mean, imagine the amount of people that or amount of characters that they came up with, and the amount of box office dollars of those guys for the past, say, even 6 years.
Oh, well, and the Hanna-Barbera stuff. I mean, like that on itself. I mean, that was an empire.
Yeah. So
Kenner Toys, Superpowers.
Mm-hmm. And the Superpowers. That was another thing I found out that Jeanette Kahn, who was the publisher of DC at the time, brought him back to redesign the Fourth World stuff so they could release it as
Toys?
Toys.
Oh.
And it was, I mean, there was no redesign to it. They said they wanted him to redesign it. He just tweaked a thing here and there just so he could get royalties from the toys. So that was, I mean, I think that was a classy move by DC Comics
to pay him.
Say, I mean, because they own them. They don't have to pay him.
No.
But she brought him back in for basically just a, in name only redesign. And just so he would be listed as somebody who they needed to give royalties to. So I think that was a cool move by DC Comics to do something like that. But yeah, I mean, when you look back and the names of guys who have meant something to the comic industry, Jack Kirby is if not the top. I mean, scroll back up there.
Yeah,
Mike's scrolling through an issue of
Comics
Forever
Alliance.
People.
Yeah,
And that looks like Electro, the Spider-Man villain.
It does. Wow,
that's crazy.
And
Yeah,
is
that issue 1 of the Forever People?
number 2.
Number 2, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
The Mantis, his name is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looks a lot like Electro.
Sure does, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you can't overstate the impact of Jack Kirby. He's, I mean, one of the names that is up at the top of the list of creators from the history of the industry.
At the top.
Yeah.
When you think of comics, I mean, the guy who invented the style, I mean, all the tricks of the trade.
The Marvel style was Jack Kirby.
Right.
That's just the way it was. If you wanted to work at Marvel Comics, you needed to emulate Jack Kirby
as best you could.
Yeah. So, but that is part 3 of our showcase on Jack Kirby, and that's going to wrap up this week's edition of the Ninja Troll Digicast. I think next week, actually, before we move on to the end here, next week I'm going to do in the showcase. I'm going to do the Robins.
Awesome.
Plural. So
yes.
all of them. So
Right
we're going to take a
on.
look at all the people that have been Robin to Batman over the years. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. TV ones as
Actually,
well?
I probably will touch on TV versions, but like specifically starting with Dick Grayson.
Yep.
And then Jason Todd, Tim Drake, and then even like Carrie Kelly, who's it's not canon,
Elseworld.
but still. But there's also been a couple others that are thrown in there. I was starting to do my research for that. There's been a couple others that would surprise you.
Wow.
So
okay.
So that'll be interesting. So next week in our showcase we'll do the Robins. But that's going to wrap it up for this week's edition of the Ninja Troll Digicast. Remember, for all the latest news from around geek culture, make sure you follow us on social media, Facebook.com/Ninja Troll Digicast, Twitter @Ninja Troll, and Instagram @Ninja Troll Digicast. Also, our YouTube page at youtube.com/C/Ninja Troll Digicast. And you can always visit us at NinjaTrollDigicast.com. And while you're there, click on the subscribe button to the iTunes subscribe to iTunes button to get the Ninja Troll on iTunes. And while you're on iTunes, give us a review, like push the little 5-star thing, because I know you love us, or else why would you be listening to us? So click the 5-star rating there on iTunes and give us a little review so we can get some more people with eyes on us on iTunes. And make sure you join us next week, same Ninja time, same Ninja channel.
You've been listening to the Ninja Troll Digicast. Tune in next time when you'll hear Mike say,
Bye-bye, boys.
Have fun storming the castle.
Think it'll work?
It would take a miracle. Bye-bye.
This is the Ninja Troll Digicast, the defenders of all things geek culture.
Don't go ninja, nobody don't need ninja.